afternoon, everybody.
Apologize in advance
For,
the echo, if it is occurring.
oh, well, man, not a problem. Again, good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, 21 August, 2024, and this is a regular board meeting of the Waterville Valley Select Board. Call to order. I am Rich Rita, the chair, and here today is Vice Chair Bob Freeze and Select Board Member Wendy Rathgeber. So we have a quorum. So I think the first order of business, and I see we have a couple people here. The first order of business is to open a public hearing on the review and rewrite and updating of the town's existing municipal solid waste regulations based on ordinances 21 and 20, I believe. 20 and 21. So I will make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So it's a public hearing. I see that we have a couple of people from the public here. Is there anything they'd like to address the board about with regard to the municipal solid waste regulation review?
Wondering if controlling the solid waste area has reduced the tonnage going into the ground.
It's a very good question, and actually we've been looking forward to a report after a year to see how things have been going. But I think interim, we can say there has been a reduction.
There has been a
At least
reduction.
the transfer
Yeah.
state, but we're not seeing an increase, something we feared at dumpsters around town.
Right.
People, not using the appropriate dumpster, but there apparently has been a reduction, maybe double digits too, right?
I think she said 20%
20 at this
or
point,
more
so,
at this point.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've asked the department head chief, Public Works, to provide us with an annual report. Get a solid year of actually having this new arrangement.
And we'll actually be doing it probably it'll be it'll be about a year. By the time we get into the budget.
Yeah,
process.
and
Yep.
the year this September sometime, I
Yep.
think we started it, so.
Yep.
Anyway, that's the preliminary as it looks now.
What we're not getting a lot of is the stuff on Monday morning that people left all weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
And there have been some questions about the dumpsters themselves. We had pared it down from the 6 that we had in there before we put the gates on. We pared it down to 4. We're currently down to 2. But that's because of the construction that's going on out there. And as soon as we get the pavement back and get rearranged, there have been some comments, and we've had to bring the trash truck in on Sunday.
Yeah, I used it Sunday, actually.
That's when
Yeah.
we have been running into problems,
Yeah.
but it's only a temporary thing.
Sure.
And we plan to regularly have 3. And then on holiday periods, we'll put in a 4th one to cover anything extra that's generated. And we always can bring the truck in. And then the operator can just operate the truck, do the
Switch it,
compacting,
right.
and then continue to use the hopper.
Did that cut down on the number of new dumpsters we were gonna buy this year for the budget?
We bought because we were so far behind on the maintenance and of existing dumpsters, and we had so many that were in bad shape. We did order the same number, but we're gonna be able to catch up faster. Remember, we talked about a multi-year catch-up plan with the dumpsters that were in bad
Mhm.
shape. I think we'll be able to do that over 2 or 3
Right.
years rather than 3 to 5 years.
So the town buys all the dumpsters, even for the condos, and then we
Yes.
get reimbursed by the tipping fees.
Yeah, the fees
The commercials.
paid,
Yeah.
fees. Well, we have the solid waste fees that everybody pays, and then we do it by the tip for the commercial.
Right.
Properties.
And actually, we're gonna be looking at, I guess, 2 additional dumpsters in
2
the near
additional.
future
Mm-hmm.
for the 2 new
Yep.
condominium developments.
Yep.
So we'll be up to the low 70s, I think, out and about.
We'll actually be, I think she had 72, so I think we'll be up to 74.
74. All right.
Yep.
There's gonna be, pardon the pun, a tipping point on what one truck and couple people can do, and I guess
Mhm.
that's part of what the municipal solid waste working group is looking at in future.
Yep.
Where we're gonna be going with the whole concept of our operation.
Yep.
Great. Are there any comments, Sharon, from the virtual community on this
I
issue?
do
Any,
not see any.
no questions, no phone calls? Okay,
Not to the revised.
Not-
set.
well, that's what I'm talking
Oh,
about, the
we
public
just-
hearing.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Some folks, come in and ask to see the
Sure.
document we had upstairs or.
Sure. It was posted, I believe, on the 13th with the notice, on the town website for people to open. I think it was a PDF file.
I think there was a hard pocket.
And-
And we
there
had
was
a hard copy at the post office and, yeah. And at any point, anyone can come in and get a hard copy if they
And one
so
of the
wish.
things that we talked about and some of the language that we adjusted in that document was in regards to the enclosure
Right.
of each of the dumpsters.
Right.
And Megan and Mike have gone out. She's on vacation this week, but at the next meeting, we'll be able to give you the complete list of those dumpsters that
Right.
are non-conforming.
Right,
And they've taken photos of every enclosure
great,
around town. So we have a baseline. If we adopt these regulations, we have a
we can
baseline
apply,
right now.
we'll be able to
of where
apply the
everybody
new
is.
regulation to, and then decide whatever we're gonna decide
Yeah.
on the individual dumpsters.
Yeah.
Great. If there are no other public comments, I will close the public hearing and turn it into a discussion by the board. If there's anything the board would like to say at this point, I think this is our third or fourth
Yeah.
cut at it, and we've all looked at it over several hours at home and whatnot, so.
Yeah, there was one comment that Bob made after
Mhm.
I sent out the draft to
Yeah.
you and I made the change. It was a minor,
Yeah, it just
wording.
said you consult with the commercial property or the condo development about where
Right.
the.
Right.
Where the dumpster
Where
will be
the dumpster
located,
goes.
instead of saying, we're gonna decide.
Right,
Great.
Yep.
So going forward from here, before I call for a vote, obviously, if there are any non-substantive changes for whatever reason, formatting and whatnot, that can just be done without a discussion, a public hearing. What's the again, pardon the pun, tipping point if we want to revise it again? Do we have to go through this whole process? Even if we're talking about a minor, I guess it depends how minor it is.
Yeah, it
in the
depends
end.
on
Yeah,
how
I
minor.
answered my own question.
yeah,
Okay.
no, I mean,
Thank you.
really, if you're gonna change a provision, then you should
Right.
probably go through the same process with the public.
Right, even though
Hearing
it's still,
notice.
as long as they remain consistent with the ordinances,
Right,
you know,
right, and
for
if the
any
ordinance
minor
change
change,
for
well, the
whatever
ordinance change that
reason, then we will
have to update
come back.
again. Very good. Okay, so if there's no further discussion from the board, I would entertain a motion to approve the revised municipal solid waste regulations.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
All right,
Aye, all right. It's a great job by town staff, especially, I think Megan worked on it
Mhm.
to update it, so kudos to her on that.
Yes, and to take the initiative in getting it.
Getting it done, since, we
Yes.
we tend to forget these things and just automatically roll forward, even though things change
Yes.
and make obsolete some elements, portions of whatever regulations we have to operationalize a town decision in an ordinance or what have you. Okay, so we will then move on to privilege of the floor. Again, I see a couple people in the audience. There's something for the board, not on the agenda.
Tom Myron, my wife sent me with a question. How we
I know
doing
the
with
feeling.
streetlights?
What was the
Street
question?
lights.
Streetlights.
Yeah,
We,
I'll let Mark
we
answer the
have,
question.
we have contacted New Hampshire Electric Co-op
Multiple
multiple
Yes.
times. We still have nothing back from them, we are trying to get them to come in
Suspected That
and,
would be the answer. You're
Yeah,
doing your
I-
best to rattle it
Well,
off.
that's when Mark and I just talked about it a few days
Yeah.
ago and figuring what can we do other than what we don't want to do, which is to basically say, fine, we'll just have our own
You
streetlights.
don't wanna take over the streetlight.
No.
No.
No, that's.
So
we're
what's the
stuck.
issue?
But we are, well, it's dark at night,
Several don't work.
but
Well,
we are
yeah.
looking at solar lights.
That's right. That's
for
right.
more
Good point.
pedestrian,
I forgot
um,
that.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
pedestrian levels, lighting. I don't believe those would be street light level though, right? Is that, or?
They will be.
They will be as
Yeah.
well. So, but that's a process. We're gonna be getting one in and kind of sampling it, right?
Right. Is this the
Over
one we're gonna put
winter.
on the,
Corner here.
in
Right
the
here.
corner here? And it's the same one we're going to
Yeah, so
model for
there's,
the bridge.
there is
Right.
two issues. It's a maintenance issue, Bob. We have lights that remain on all the time. We have lights that don't come on. We have areas of sections of road that do not have any lighting at all. So there are several things that we're trying to address. And then we have, what are the options if we don't use the current type of streetlight? Because the issue with the co-op is they have discontinued use of those carriage
Particular model. right.
looking lights. And so they will not, it's very difficult to get them to maintain it. So we're looking at other options. The solar powered lights, if everybody likes the way they look, they give us a lot more flexibility because we can put them anywhere. We don't have to connect them to the transformers and all of that. So, we have, that would be the town taking those on
Right.
and being responsible for them. So, it'll
Yeah.
be a town meeting
Yeah,
choice.
because they aren't inexpensive, but they
Right.
would give us a lot of options and
The-
maybe,
the
maybe
only-
some,
The only downside is in the dead of winter, if you get 3 days in a row with no sun.
right,
You have no light.
Yes, and we have to talk to the company about what their, what their experience
Battery-
is,
battery
where are
capacity
they,
is.
where are they currently up? Is it up here in the North Country of New England? And that sort of thing, so we will
Yeah.
know whether or not they're even viable for here.
When we get 6, 7 hours of sunlight at most.
Right, and,
Yeah.
and we are picking a spot, that's as low.
Yeah.
As, elevation wise here in the valley. It is a wooded area.
Yep.
So, if this one works, we can extrapolate that.
Yeah.
Probably most areas in town, they're gonna be okay, but we gotta see what happens when we put it up. Plus, nobody may like what they look like. Because they are different than the carriage lights.
Right.
yeah.
That we currently have.
But if we can't get the current.
But if we
current
can't-
carriage lights
Well, that's
a
service,
non-option.
Exactly.
then,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So have we ordered one yet? or-
Yeah.
We have three, we're gonna put up three. It's gonna be two by the transfer station.
Well, I think we had already decided, sort of, the whole, how it was gonna work but we haven't decided who's gonna cover from select board, right? Am I remembering
So
correctly?
there's a list of people that
Right,
Patty had given you.
right.
I don't think you took a vote. We were missing the vote in the minutes.
On those people.
On those people to serve as ballot clerks. So
serve as
that's one
ballot
thing we need to
clerks.
do for the election.
Right, and then the second thing was your coverage as the board
Okay,
needs to be the same as a general election. So that
Right, so
means
that requires
at least
two,
two of you,
and we're,
or people that
we can
you
appoint.
appoint in your
So,
stead.
Oh.
is it 11, what have they, again, I'm sorry,
Is 11 to 7
11 to 7, right?
at the
So
gym, right, Sharon?
Yes, 11.
11 to 7, so we have,
And
so we
then you
8
have
hours.
counting after. So you
Right.
have a 9, I would say between 9 and 10 hours to
Right,
cover.
right, okay. Well, let's get the most important thing out of the way first, and that is approving the ballot clerks.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to go through, I'm sorry, yes.
No, I was
Gwen.
gonna say, do we know that they're all currently residents?
Patty
Patty
developed this
did,
list,
okay.
so
Right.
they are,
I just thought,
I believe everybody is a, I think she went through and made sure that everybody met. They have to be registered voters,
sure,
so.
okay.
Yeah, I imagine Patty was her usual thorough administrator here on this, so we don't have to go down through every name. I think we
Yeah.
just
It
approved
looks
the
like
list.
most of them are the same that we've had other
Yeah.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think I can make a motion that we approve the list for ballot clerks for the upcoming primary election on 10 September. Said list provided us by the town moderator.
Is it for both elections or just
Yeah.
for the?
Is it for
primary?
both? And I assume they won't for November either, so we can assume as well.
It does say September,
September.
November,
state primary,
Right,
but it says November as well on here.
it does.
it does.
Ballot clerks are appointed for a year.
Okay.
Right,
Oh,
they do
yes,
have that.
I assume they won't for November either, so
Right.
it'll be for both.
It's because she's talking about changes to the list because
Right.
of party affiliation, which
Yeah.
we have difficulty meeting.
Because of.
So many people here are registered undecided, as will be most of the ballot clerks. Okay, so I think I made the motion properly. Would someone like to second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now we got to talk about how we would like to handle it. We can delay, I think we have one more select board meeting before the election, so we can look at this. We can look at the calendar and wait
I
to
think
the fourth.
Wendy seems to be the one that has the biggest,
And the pain.
No, do you wanna just look harder, wait till you get closer to decide on your schedule?
Either way,
You can decide the fourth, and that way you have a better idea
okay,
what your schedule's like that Tuesday, and the three of us can then divvy it up.
okay.
I don't think it's, yeah, looks like a pretty light day anyway, for me. Okay, so let's just put that on the agenda for our
Yep.
next meeting on 4 September. Dumpster installation request. Okay, so I think we need to just go over a little bit of the history because we're reversing a decision that had been approved reversing our decision of a decision made by the planning board,
Correct.
going back to the original, we're going back to the original edition
With some
decision based on
modifications.
modification. So
Mhm.
if you could explain that for the,
So there was a site plan,
audience.
there was a site plan review approved by the planning board that had a dumpster enclosure at the villas of Waterville Valley.
right,
When we got to construction, and they actually built the
Mhm.
pad. We went up, Public Works and the trash truck. We went up there to see the pad that they had installed to make sure that we could service it,
Mhm.
and we could not. There were overhangs off of the building and other, the way that the actual construction happened and where the parking spaces were, that made it impossible to access the truck, given the setup that was approved on the
Right.
site plan.
And the town staff did look at it at that
And we
time, and
looked at it.
it did look like it would work, but
We did during the process, we
Right, so
reviewed the plans.
this is
and
not the
It looked like it
builder
was, no,
changing
it
things.
just.
Didn't work.
It did not work
As a-
when we took the truck up there.
Right,
The association, the developer at that time, because it wasn't an association, developer at that time came to the board and requested that the select board as the enforcement authority allow there to not be a dumpster
mm-hmm,
and enclosure on site,
mm-hmm,
but that they bring their trash, the owners there bring their solid waste down here to the central transfer station. And you approve that request. Since there are now property owners there, people who have bought condos. The homeowners association, I guess, had a meeting, and they have requested to rescind that. They have proposed a change to the layout of the enclosure from the site plan. It is in the same location.
Mhm.
It is angled, the pad is angled differently. And there are 2 rows of stone that will be laid from the edge of the pavement to the edge of the drainage ditch. They did not move the drainage ditch or make
right, which is right
Any
behind it, right,
changes-
for that,
to the drainage
Little
plan that
work
was
there.
approved.
right,
But there will be 2 rows of stone that will be laid beside the pavement that will give the truck tires the ability to make that corner and back straight into the pad that is going to be re-angled. And then they will build an enclosure around the pad. So the setbacks from other properties did not change. The plantings plan did not change. The only thing that was added were the 2 rows of stone. And again, they did it right up to the edge, the stone right up to the edge of the drainage ditch. So the drainage system that was approved by the planning board was not changed.
No, the pad itself is gonna be cobbles, it looks like, versus a
Well,
concrete pad.
Yeah.
we're gonna look at that. We have an agreement with the homeowners association because they want it to be cobbles. If we have problems with the dumpster sticking on the cobbles,
Yeah.
they will have to use the central transfer station because we will not service the dumpster. And next spring, they will have to change the surface
I
material.
think they already have
Of-
cobblestones down.
They have cobblestones
Right.
down. They're
Right.
they're gonna change the angle.
The
of
angle and then add
cobblestones.
add the,
Add the
cobblestone.
enclosure, add the enclosure.
right,
And what about snow removal? I assume
Snow
they use
removal,
that.
well, they were approved by the planning board to do snow storage across the street, across Golden Heights.
Right.
On the other side of the drainage ditch on Golden Heights.
Mhm.
That was approved as part of the site plan
Right,
approval.
right.
They
lift it
did,
over,
they
right,
did use the area where the enclosure is gonna go as
Last
snow
year.
storage. And we told them, obviously, they're not gonna be able to do that.
Yeah,
And there is a contingent to the approval of the site plan, right, Dave? That we get to review
that's right,
the
I remember that.
drainage
after,
on Golden Heights
after a year
Road.
for 2 years running,
No, it actually got extended because of the light winter we had. We extended
Oh, so
that
we were
1
able
year.
to.
So we're gonna go 2 more years. And it'll be reviewed after each one of those years to ensure that there's no impact on
Okay.
Golden Heights Road.
And that will be a recommendation to the select board about
No,
continuing.
in the contingency, it'll be a report from the DPW to the planning board,
Okay,
because it's actually a condition subsequent.
okay, then it'll be up
On
to
the
the planning
approval.
board
Then
to
it'll be up to the
Okay.
planning board to
make
decide
a
what
decision
happens.
and then inform the
Mhm.
select board.
So it looks to me like the truck has to back in all the way from Golden Heights.
Truck does, and it does in many of the, associations. Even the long, as long as it is a long straight backup, it isn't really an issue. It's a lot easier than heading in and then trying to do a 14-point turn. It actually is faster. And we couldn't, the way it was situated before and the way that the enclosure was angled before, he couldn't get a straight run at the enclosure. Because we have the two ears on the dumpsters that have to click in to the back of the trash truck. And
that's why
we
we-
need it
We
to be clear
angled.
and change the angle.
So Mike's okay with this?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you whether we could give a contingent or a temporary approval for 6 months and see how it goes.
Yeah, I
Whatever-
was gonna go in that
whatever
direction as
you-
well,
Whatever.
to see if
yeah,
it works
however
this
you wanna
winter,
do.
basically,
Yeah.
is the main
I
thing.
think this is a good time to let them try it, because it is
Mhm.
going into the worst weather,
Mhm.
as far as maintenance of, they gotta keep it clear of snow. They've got to make sure
Mhm.
that the enclosure doors work properly.
And that it's
So,
not icy with the
and it's not a-
cobblestones. I mean,
that's right.
All of
So-
that, right.
One consideration is that half of that project is not completed yet, so
Right.
it will not be occupied.
Right.
So the
Yeah,
additional
true.
parking and traffic you may not see
That's a
there,
good
but just
point.
one other consideration, just.
Yeah, and actually, the part that is sold is the parking area that we're most concerned with, the house. They've got a parking spot that is gonna be right beside the enclosure.
Mhm.
And then you've got the first 4 units are sold, I think, 3 or 4. So you've got those vehicles will be in those parking spots that are actually the ones that are problematic.
Right.
So.
Okay, from a safety. Any issues from safety?
No, like Mark said, there are several places where they have to make those similar maneuvers to be able to get into some of these spots. I mean, they looked at it, it's tight, but like you said, we'll see how they do in the winter and how it gets maintained and that sort of thing.
That's all we can make a
That'll be
condition
big
on that.
factor. Really.
We had initially talked about additional paving. They requested to go with the cobblestones, which if they provide all we need is a firm
Mhm.
place for the tires to be on the truck. So if it works, it's fine from a staff standpoint. If those collapse during the spring or whatever, that could be part of
Icy,
your
difficult
contingent.
for
Yeah, that can be
guy to
part of
walk
your
there,
contingent.
person to
approval.
walk there.
So
Um,
would
I
we
suppose.
start doing this right now or after the enclosure gets built or?
We don't have a dumpster to put in there now,
Oh, even with the reduced count.
even with the the reduced count is going back to the 4. Remember, after
Yeah,
the
yeah.
construction. So, it would be whenever those are delivered, so probably mid-September.
So,
We're looking
okay.
at maybe give approval.
Well, it's gonna take time for them to put the stone in the ground, right? The stone lines that they need to install. They need to rearrange the enclosure and build the physical enclosure, so it'll be however, you know, a month.
Right.
Or so before they can start using it probably.
So if we gave a temporary approval until April, contingent on it working,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
Continue upon
October,
it.
November, does that gives you 7 months?
Yeah,
of-
I would say April and then contingent, review it contingent upon recommendation from town staff, specifically DPW and DPS.
Yeah.
Jenny, are you here for this? Okay,
Question, did they have to submit a new plan or something to the planning board, or they just drop something off?
No, they just provided us with a sketch, schematic and a sketch of it, because it isn't, there isn't any change to anything. Had they changed we talked to them about relocating the drainage ditch and all of those types of
that
things.
would be.
If they would have done that, then we would have made them come back with a site plan addendum, but they're not changing really anything in the landscaping plan or the drainage plan. The only thing they're doing is adding the pavers,
Like an
And
angle-
And angling the-
changing the
Right.
angle of the
Yeah, I was
pad.
just curious, because they're right up on my property.
They
line,
are,
like
and-
literally touching
I-
it, so if they're
Mhm.
angling it, is there,
No,
are they
it-
still within?
Yes, we made sure that they did not go towards, they came away from the property line actually with the change in the angle. Yeah, and I was very conscious of that and I kept making sure that they take that into consideration.
Have you seen the engineering diagram that
No,
they?
I-
Well,
I saw it on the agenda and I.
okay, so we certainly can get a copy of it and review it. But it sounds like the board is leaning towards
I can give them my-
contingent.
I give them my copy.
Yeah, I got, yeah.
Oh,
Whatever
okay,
you
great.
want.
Yeah, a contingent approval until April, and then we see what the town staff recommends going forward, see if this worked.
Go ahead.
I may just suggest so, you know, there's some language in there that says the dumpster enclosure gets built in construction in compliance with the ordinance.
Right, in the
That
regulation.
way,
By
Yeah.
the middle of
by
September.
the middle of, before they start using it, I would rather that
Oh, of
it
course,
gets
right.
constructed, it's in place, ready to go before it actually.
So
starts.
completion of the
Absolutely.
dumpster enclosure
Enclosure.
project before it's used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't wanna see a dumpster just sitting out
Yeah.
there.
Right.
No,
Yeah,
You know.
right, and we can
that-
control that too, because we're the ones who would bring the dumpster, right? So.
And Jenny, if you have any questions when you look at it on the ground compared to this, just let me know.
Well, I do have a question about that. I mean, like one corner of I guess maybe it's closer.
Yeah, that's off the cobblestone.
Yeah. I don't know, I don't recall where my lot was.
The,
And this other diagram.
the one, the one corner that comes off of the cobblestone will have cobblestone under it.
Okay,
So they will correct the pad to change the angle, but that corner, which if you're looking at the dumpster and the house is on the left-hand side of where the enclosure is going to be, that corner is actually going back onto the association's property more,
Okay,
not closer to your property.
so how specific do we want to be on a motion? I take it we need a motion here.
By the plan as presented.
Right,
With
and-
the enclosure must be built before the dumpster is
Okay.
installed. And it's temporary,
Until-
contingent on a review at the end of April twenty
By
twenty-five.
town staff, Yeah.
By town staff
And
and a
a-
recommendation to the
to the
select board
select board,
on whether to continue.
and, yeah, no, go ahead.
I wanna just. I don't know who I should direct this question to, but you need to look it up close. When was the
Yep.
planning board? All right, so this line right here. That's underneath everything is the 10-foot line to my property, that one right there, from the original corner.
Right.
I know it is.
Okay.
So I don't know what that is. It looks like it's less than 10 feet to me.
Okay, we'll have Dave check it
Right.
to make sure that there's 10 feet.
It's this,
I mean, we,
So this is
Yeah.
the existing
yeah,
10-foot line. And this is a new
right,
10-foot line.
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Yep.
Well,
I don't know.
so I think,
Yeah.
I think something we add to this motion is that, it is constructed and placed, per the, instruction of, town staff.
Okay.
In other words, town staff will approve in the actual construction of it, will approve
The location.
the
and
location
intersection.
and make sure the angle works and all the cobblestone like that isn't in this diagram
Yep.
will be put in there.
Yep.
Again, I think the minutes of the minutes of the meeting will show the sense of where we're at. So I think a simple motion to approve temporarily until the end of April, the dumpster plan, the modified dumpster layout as presented to the town by the homeowners association. Is the Villas of Waterville Valley Homeowners Association? Is that
that's what I'm calling it.
we'll call it that? Said project to be up and completed by
End of September.
end of September and approved by Department of Public Works and Department of Public Safety. Does that, I think, cover it, everything? Is
It's a
everyone?
mouthful.
It is, that's why I was wondering how much we had to say in it, but I think our discussion here, anyone can go back and review it and understand what we're doing here.
Okay.
All righty, if there's no more discussion, well, that's the motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, do you have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Right.
Right.
Aye.
No, Bob wants that done.
Okay, we can give, we can pass this along to David, so he.
I got it. I gave it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is your copy, if you want to keep it. Jenny doesn't want it, you can keep it. Okay, so, item C in new business is the trail recommissioning letter. Thank
Thanks.
you for coming, Jenny. So this is something that, I and the town manager and the director of the rec department have been working on with Marvin Weinberger to present a letter to the U.S. Forest Service about recommissioning a 3.3 segment of a trail that runs from Tecumseh across Foss to Welch. And that, as a Welch or Dickey, no, Dickey, excuse me. And that we've discussed many times. And also most recently with the the general manager and president, I guess, of the Waterville Valley Ski Resort, about the process going forward and their support. The whole idea here is simply to get an initial reaction from the Forest Service before we formally apply, if we decide to do so, for a small project in April of 2025. So it's just basically to get the ball rolling. We haven't discussed it in a little bit. Every so often we do. But I don't know if anyone on the board had any comments at this point.
I was a bit curious about the approach for, I think it's on the second page
Mhm.
towards the end, talking about obtaining funding. And then I believe a bit further on but it seems to offer the bus at no.
Oh, the truck, the shuttle that
shuttle
he's,
bus.
as a possibility. As something further downstream. I think we were trying to put in this letter the sorts of things that we think that the Forest Service would come back and ask us about. So they would be concerned potentially about the increased need for parking at either Welch Dickey or at the Tecumseh Trailhead at the resort. So I think that was an attempt to say this is something that can be considered. Again, nothing in here binds the town to anything. Again, we're just looking to see what kind of response we will get from the Forest Service. Early probes have not been encouraging, but we want to get something in writing back from them, basically, and see if we want to move forward with this. Bob?
Well, I thought I saw a reference to, it starts at the top of Green Peak, and I also thought it starts at the top of Tecumseh. Or, I don't know if it's the top or not. So I'm not sure which it is, and then it's implied that it went to Welch, and then it says it goes to Dickey, so I'm not sure where it starts from and where it ends. It looked like it was both were mentioned at both ends, I thought.
Yeah, I think we provide them with a map and GPS tracks for the proposed trail. There's another short segment in another place too, I think a half-mile segment by the Scour too,
Yeah,
that's part of
that's
this.
different.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
I just wanted to get that on, that's part of this as well.
If I remember
Yeah.
correctly, there is a segment that was actually decommissioned by the Forest Service.
Right.
We're seeking to recommission that, but the connection is the longer piece. So it would be Dickey to Tecumseh
Mhm.
with the actual decommissioned piece in the middle of that. And that's the piece that
Oh,
we're
I see.
seeking.
Right,
But when you look at it on a trail map, it's actually gonna connect everything together. Because you're gonna be able to hike from Tecumseh all the
Across
way
Green,
across
across-
Peak,
right,
across Welch and into Dickey. It's going to be the entire thing.
Right.
And maybe I got Welch and Dickey
Flipped,
flip-flopped. But it is to connect those, the bigger segment, but some of the bigger segment is already there and is already a trail. And it's the piece in between that people are using right now. People are bushwhacking this trail now.
How do we know that?
Because people post pictures,
all
people are
trails.
all trails.
and there are actually
we-
some,
We know that, and we know
Cairns.
that they're getting off of it. And it's actually, some of the area is being impacted, right?
Yeah,
We were looking at.
yeah.
And so we wanna recommission this so that there's an identifiable trail in there and people stay on the identified trail.
So we're reestablishing the trail that was there.
That was there.
it's actually an historic trail, it's one of the original
Right.
trails.
Yeah, I've been here 50 years, I've never heard about it, but that's,
Yeah, I think it was decommissioned in 60, I'm trying to remember. And I think the reason was.
Marvin and Steve Smith did some research
Right,
on
and
when it
that's not
was-
in this
That's
letter.
not
There's a
in
lot
this
of-
letter,
There's a
but there
lot of
is
research
research.
on
that
this.
has
I'm
been
not
done.
saying it's not there because I didn't know about it.
No, no, no.
Right,
Yeah,
no, I understand, but
Brooke, did you have something to add?
I mean, is the reason it was decommissioned was for the Bicknell thrush?
I think more was a maintenance issue,
Yeah.
as I
It was a
recall
maintenance
from, right. They didn't care about the
No,
thrush
question.
back in the
Yeah,
1960s, I think.
Happens with,
Right.
because I know people are using it, but what happens is they do all sorts of trail finding, so the impact is greater.
Sure.
When you don't have,
Right,
especially with that mountain, terrain and the. I can't remember.
yeah,
what it's
some of it is
called.
challenging. I've never done it, but
Up
I've talked to
there.
people who
And they
have,
it Marked off on Welch.
right.
You can see it when you go up there, you
Yeah.
can see it leads
Yeah.
off. It's pretty
Right.
defined if you're looking for it in that area where it.
You're looking from Welch and Dickey back this way, or are you looking?
No,
No,
yeah,
Tecumseh.
you come out of the saddle, you'll find the space where it breaks off. Say if you're going from Dickey to Welch, it's on your right side, you You could see, it almost looks like it goes out to a.
An
like a
overlook,
But it keeps
yeah.
going.
right.
And it does go up to Foss Peak, I think they call it.
Right.
Yes,
Um,
and that was the original name, I think, wasn't it? The Foss,
Boss Trail.
Foss
Where
Trail?
does it leave off from either Green Peak or Tecumseh? Where does it?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really
Yeah,
familiar
that-
with that side of it.
I mean, I was on a rescue back in 74, I think, off the Oblivion Trail. And it is really steep
Yeah.
going down off the Oblivion Trail as you're going down towards Green Peak. It's very steep. And there's a waterway that goes down there.
Yeah, it stays up on the ridge.
Stays
So
up.
pretty
Yeah,
much comes,
it-
would come in almost on the backside.
It's
of
ridge all the
Woodville.
way,
Yeah,
pretty
ridge-
much.
yeah, it stays out of the bowl of Green Peak, cause that's where we get all our rescues to.
Yeah.
We
Really?
just had a woman last night down in there.
So it
It
takes
stays
off
on.
towards Dickey from the top of Tecumseh or
It-
from the top of Green Peak?
Tecumseh, from the top of Tecumseh.
Yeah.
You can look, if you're standing up there, you can actually see, it almost looks like it's almost a level path. You do go down a little bit and then climb back up, but I don't know exactly where it pops back up, but, the old trail from Welch side is,
And actually it was
It's
more
pretty-
extensive too, according
Yeah.
to the research that Martin and Steve did. It was actually a much more extent. This is gonna be more of a straight line, more or less. But actually it did have, it wandered around the various peaks
Yeah, to different outlooks.
to different outlooks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And actually Tyler
Tyler
hiked this.
and Eric that have typed it, so
Yeah.
if you do have like more specific questions, I'm happy to
We,
get that.
we have the GPS markings from when they hiked it, Bob, and we can show you on a map where it goes.
So this letter, maybe it doesn't need to, but it doesn't address who will maintain it. Once it's, who will do the work and who will maintain it after.
Well, we're asking them to.
We're gonna hopefully get the Forest Service too. but
Part of the
we do have-
negotiation.
That's part of the negotiation. But we do have some verbal comments, that
Uh,
local
From the
folks
resort,
from the resort and AIA.
AIA
that
and
potentially
whatnot,
they
and-
could look
right.
at helping with that.
I mean, it always seemed to me that this would be a prime trail for the resort. For their operations, it could be very attractive to them.
It sounds like would be I always think the Waterville Foundation should have projects that are definable. And that would be a great project.
we
for the
talked to
Waterville
them.
Foundation.
Marvin's
Yeah.
been talking to them and
Yeah.
they've been.
Right,
they've
I
been
think we've talked to
supportive of it.
Mike
We're trying to get
Fergal
the-
about this as
Yeah,
well.
we're trying to get the Forest Service to come down one way or the other on it. We anticipate that it'll be no. But
Right,
we don't know until we submit something to them.
but I think your inclination is spot on, and that's gonna be the big question from the Forest Service. We're gonna see basically though what everything they'll say. I think one of the attractions to them will be to formalize this trail, is to get people as much as possible out of that protected area and keep them on the trail. And we're hoping that provides a good argument for the Forest Service, but it will come down to, okay, who's gonna recommission it and who's gonna maintain it? And I think those are questions, we wanna hear them say that, so that when we can then turn to it, say, okay, here's what we can do. Perhaps the resort may be willing to go on record as saying that we will be willing to maintain it. Perhaps AIA will be willing to add it to their list of trails that they maintain, although they're already pressed on that matter, the volunteers. So again, it's an attempt after a couple years to just get something to the Forest Service. We've only had a couple conversations with them. We haven't directly, but the resort has about this. And the initial reactions were not promising. But let's get it in writing and get it to them and see what they say, and then decide whenever we need to decide to get it in as whether or not to get it in as a small projects proposal for the April, I think it is, 2025 deadline. So this will be coming from the select board, and we did talk about, for example, whether it should come from the resort or the foundation, but it seems pretty obvious as we talk through it that it should come from the town. And it will be over Mark's signature,
Okay,
but this will be approved by the select board, so. I will make a motion to approve the letter as presented to the select board to Brooke Brown, the Pemigewasset District Ranger for the White Mountain National Forest with regard to recommissioning what had previously been known, if I have it correctly, as the Foss Trail. And also recommissioning a smaller, a half-mile cutoff that had been demolished by Tropical Storm Irene.
Second that.
All in favor?
aye,
Aye. Added to the list of things we need to discuss with the Forest Service. Number of issues pending between the town and the Forest Service. Okay, so something everyone near and dear to everybody's heart, town revenues review and modification for the New Hampshire DRA reporting, so the tax man.
Yep, so it's the
So
annual
to the tax
form.
collector, the answer is?
The answer. We are proposing the changes which are shown on the summary page at the beginning of the MS 434 draft that I put in your packets.
Mhm.
The bottom line is we are adjusting estimations of revenues to align them with the departments where we are actually seeing the revenues and where we anticipate additional revenues for the rest of the year through December 31st. We're recommending at this time the adjustments shown that come up to a total of $2,265,096. What we estimated at town meeting was $2,263,587. So this is the very small increase of $1,509. The lines where we're seeing some differences are on the payments in lieu of taxes. That was adjusted by the $8,000 that's shown there. $5,000 in motor vehicles up to $195,000. We brought building permits down from what we had projected at town meeting. The department income came down. That was primarily two items. We had a reduction in the ambulance fees, which was substantial. The number of runs that we had during ski season was lower than what we were projecting back in December of last year. And we made some slight changes in the rec department, but those pretty much evened out for the year. And then sale of municipal property, because of the sale of the dump truck, we were able to add that 75,000 in. And then miscellaneous revenue, we had no unanticipated revenue. I believe last year we had a reimbursement from Primex, a reimbursement on insurance premiums that we had received. And then can't remember what there was one other big unanticipated revenue, but that was adjusted from 109,900 down to 85,000. And then we added $14,095 in. We received a unanticipated reimbursement on replacement for a damaged speedboard sign that got hit.
Right.
And we settled with the person that hit it, and they paid us that amount. So those are, a lot of those are related to that departmental
Mhm.
income.
Can I ask,
Yeah,
the interest on investments, is that the same
Which,
as?
do you have a line you
Oh,
can
yeah,
throw at us?
so I can read it. It's 3502.
3502.
3502, okay.
Mhm.
And my revenues I
Got
printed
it.
off from last month got cut off.
Yeah, they're
But
not,
is it,
they're not in there yet. We are
Okay.
getting investment revenues. We just haven't recorded them in BSNA.
okay,
And that's why in your financial report, you only got the expenditure side today.
right,
So Steve is reconciling all the revenue lines
okay.
against that.
So the
But we
five-
don't have any reason to believe that number won't be
Okay.
reached.
So what's the interest income that's on the revenue from what we saw last month, or last meeting rather, for the 5,500?
So there's different interest, yeah.
It got cut off.
So we have interest on taxes, so this is the interest income,
That's reflected on here
yeah.
at 55,000?
Oh, no. I do not know
Okay,
where that one is. I will check that with
okay,
Steve. All right,
thank you.
yeah, I'll find out whether he typoed that
Okay.
or, and I will let you know.
Cool.
So this is a form required by Department of Revenue Administration, MS
Yeah.
434.
And remember, so we do this revision. They put it in the DRA system
Right, and it gets,
and they
Spit
give
out.
us a preliminary tax
Tax rate.
rate.
right,
And then we can go in before we finalize the tax rate and we can adjust these revenues again.
Right.
So just as an example, the dump truck,
Mhm.
if the person who is the winning bidder doesn't, give us the check or come to pick up the truck, and we have to go down to the next bidder. I think the difference was what, 55,000 for the next person. Then in October, when we set the rate, we would be able to go to sale of municipal property and adjust that.
Okay.
Plus the impact of the new property values too, you're gonna
still, that'll be the
be-
big
have to look at that as well, right?
issue.
And the board always, this revenue sheet also includes the 200, what was it, 202,125.
Right,
That was voted by town meeting for undesignated fund balance use.
right,
And then the board has a separate line on the tax rate setting sheet that you can vote as a board
To
to
modify.
apply more to it. You can't go below the 202 because that was
Right.
voted by town meeting.
but we can
you
go more if we
can go
want
more
to
if
impact
you
the
want.
tax rate,
Mhm.
tax rate setting. Right.
Yeah.
Which we have done in the past.
Yeah,
Okay. So what do we need to do today? In motion to.
just okay the draft. And actually that's signed by staff, not by the board.
Okay.
So we will enter this information into the DRA portal and use these revenue numbers. I will check the 55,000 and let you know by email what that number is.
All right, so you don't need a motion or a vote.
Well, it would be, if you're okay with the revenues as shown on here, with the exception of the interest on investments. Then, unless you want me to change some of the numbers that are on here for any
Okay.
reason, you're
Yeah,
okay?
no, we're fine.
All right. Okay, nope, I think a sense of meeting is really
Okay,
all we need.
right.
And we'll enter it
We'll be talking about it
one more time,
at least,
at least.
at least this thing. Okay, so let's move on to old business, the wastewater treatment facility project update. Guess we got a couple of things there.
One's not here, so they must have gotten into a good discussion.
Oh, that's right, you guys
Um,
went to.
we went to Epping.
Epping,
Wastewater treatment plant, very good visit. They have an MBR plant, membrane bioreactor plant. And it's the only one of these types of plants in the state. We were able to spend almost 2 hours with the current operator. It took us through every step of their treatment process. It was very positive. He was very knowledgeable and the plant seems to be working very well. He claimed that they have not had any issues for
How old is it?
year and a half, huh?
A year and a half?
A year and a half,
No
like
issues.
absolutely.
because there was
zero
some
issues.
concern
There
about
were
at the
concerns
beginning,
prior.
right?
But they have made the changes that were necessary. They basically had to go in. I don't know if you remember, but where the raw sewer water comes in to the plant, the headworks.
Mhm.
We went in that building
Filters out all that,
in
yeah.
where was it? We were Northfield. No.
No, oh, I mean, the one we went
The one
to.
we
Whitefield.
went to,
was
Whitefield,
Whitefield,
jeez,
right.
I could not remember the name of the town. Yeah, so Whitefield, we went into that
Mhm,
building for the
right.
headworks. They built a brand new headworks area. A lot of the issues that they had were with the pre-screening and with the initial treatment of the water as it came in. They've made all of the improvements that they needed to there and and then they've changed the type of MBR plant that
Okay.
they installed. So it's working very well. They have pretty stringent limits. They have a 5 TSS and they have the same phosphorus limits that we
And we're
have.
better than that.
We're one
We're one
TSS.
TSS.
But they are getting zero, they're getting zero, not measurable TSS out of the MBRs. And they have no tertiary, after the MBRs, that is their tertiary treatment. There's nothing else after it, just UV disinfection.
Where does their water go?
It goes into, I don't know the name of the river, but it's discharged to a river just like we are. I can't remember the name of the river.
So
But
this,
they have pretty stringent limits and they are meeting them, no problem. Um, and
and this is high on Black and Veatch's list for consideration.
it's one of the two.
One of the two, and the
Mhm.
purpose of the trip was for town staff to go look at it,
Yeah.
see the plant, and then re-engage with Black and Veatch, their opinion about whether this would work.
Which their other choice besides MBR?
Right now, a conventional activated sludge plant. So those are the two that they've started with 5. They're down to 2. So it's between MBR and activated sludge, conventional plant.
And the timeline for presenting to the board,
Probably within a month. They're gonna have conceptual drawings within a couple of weeks. As far as what the footprint would look like.
right, which type of plant they recommend and.
No, you'll get both.
We'll
You're
get
gonna
both,
see
right.
both.
Like last time, we were given,
Yeah, there
the
won't be a
options.
recommendation yet,
okay,
because we still have some questions about
Right,
life cycle
understand.
costs and things like that.
Is the MBR expandable?
I mean, they both will be built expandable.
well, not having a tertiary process is a big deal.
Well, it is the tertiary
It's
process.
included
It's
in it, right.
included. All the biologic happens in
Right,
one.
but that was a big deal with the SBR.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, still some questions to answer.
mhm.
Rich and Dylan asked a lot of questions to the operator about what the day-to-day was like and, you know, what type of tasks they're running into,
Mhm.
unexpected. I was surprised, the entire plant, including the MBR system, was all completely in the open in Epping.
I
And
find that
worked,
hard to believe,
yeah,
exposure to
with
the
no
elements.
ice buildup or anything,
Hmm.
because it's continuously working.
Hmm.
Now they've built a building over the MBR portion of the plant, but half of the plant is in the open.
I mean, that's really good to know for temperature fluctuations, I mean.
Yeah, and they did recommend, the operator did recommend that we put as much of it undercover as we can.
Well, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Who designed that?
Underwood Engineers,
Underwood?
yeah,
Are they
that's
New
their
Hampshire?
operating engineer, and Dylan's been in contact with
Are
Underwood.
they a New Hampshire firm?
Yeah. Yeah, so they're working, you know, you remember all the discussions about MBRs
Mhm.
that we've had
Yeah, they
previously.
were not favorable.
They were not favorable,
Right.
and it was this plant
In particular, yeah.
in a prior iteration of this plant, they've made a lot of changes to it. So what we looked at today was not the plant that
So how old was the original plant?
2000, what did he say, 2002, 2003?
And then a year and a half ago, it was changed.
No, they've been making upgrades, the revised MBRs. They made a bunch of upgrades in the 2010s, and then they changed cassettes, and that caused problems, but the current system, the way that it is working with the type of MBR that they have in there, the most recent change was from 2019. And this operator's been there as chief operator for a year and a half.
Okay.
The 2019 change was where they kind of got it right, because they fixed the headworks and went back to the previous MBR system.
Hmm.
And that seemed to fix their issues from this operator's standpoint.
All right. Well, we look forward to,
And we have telephone calls out to, I think, 2 or 3 additional plants. And we'll see what their input is as well.
so we're pretty much still on track for early fall-ish, getting a sense of
The footprint
footprint
probably in September.
in September.
Yeah.
And that's 10 days away.
Yeah.
So
Well,
the beginning of
middle of
September,
September,
right?
middle of September. But yeah, they did okay. The other big piece on the treatment plant is a CMOM plan is
Mhm.
finalized. The legal introductory letter for the submission of it has been finalized as well, so I would anticipate that early next week would be the latest that we would submit that to EPA for review and approval. We are going to be under, they notified us on Monday that we're under a unilateral administrative order. So this is not an order that we're consenting to anything.
Because we
They
missed the
are
deadline.
imposing it because of a missed deadline,
Mhm.
but it kind of took us aback because we had the agreement with them to extend, to let us, they
That's
knew we
what I
were
was gonna
working.
ask, yeah, so
And-
that you had notified them that,
We did,
okay,
and EPA
yeah.
Yeah, well, from there.
still issued the administrative order, but the administrative order will give us to the end of October, and we will have already submitted our final CMOM plan,
Right.
which should take care of the
And there are no
Hey.
fines
And-
or other.
no fines, and Jim Steinkraus has spoken with
Mhm.
the guy who is issuing the administrative order, and he recognized that we are submitting the final plan. So it should be a paperwork trail.
Anything to report with regard to septic up at the mountain versus?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet?
No.
Any other questions on the wastewater treatment facility? Alrighty. Let's move on to the property valuation update project.
Yep, we should have the letters out, Sharon.
I haven't.
Do you know? Do you know if they've mailed them yet?
I don't know. if
I
they-
didn't
I
get
don't
it
know
in
if
today's.
they-
We've
mail.
approved everything from our end
Right,
and they were
So-
supposed to
They
get
were-
out.
taking it from
So-
that point.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
hadn't heard, we
right,
got a draft of that letter.
And we approved the draft. So
right. Okay, well, I guess everyone should be getting them in the next day or two.
I would hope
And that's
before the
gonna,
weekend.
and that will
Yep.
trigger the
People
schedule
calling
for.
in, the
for-
scheduling, the
to
hearing.
discuss.
Yep.
To discuss their new
Values.
values,
Yep.
yeah. If they so choose.
Yep.
And somewhere along the line, at the end, we will be voting on all this. Okay. Any further?
Yeah,
Yep,
can we
go
do
ahead.
the department heads next and
Sure,
talk about the roads, because that might be kind of lengthy.
right. Okay, let's do
Would that
that.
be all right?
Yep,
Let's have Brooke go.
Um. First want to report that we had a very good, smooth summer, with all
Wait a
of our
minute, it's over?
programs and- Well, you know.
from the
big
rec
chunk-
department
The
standpoint,
big chunk of,
right.
bringing in the staff, putting on the programs and camps,
Oh.
we had 25 staff and they all sort of go away overnight, poof, but, it was really smooth and they did an awesome job, so I just would like to recognize all of them for their dedicated, work. It was a very young group and they were awesome, so, big kudos to them,
Same to you and your full-time staff too.
thanks,
Congratulations on a good summer.
yeah. It was really, really one to remember.
This is your interim week?
Yes, right now we are, they are cleaning the building, resurfacing some of the floors. We have been able to offer some open gyms here and there, but there's really not a lot of people in town. And then school is happening on Monday, so, yeah, we've got, we have to switch gears and now we're looking ahead to after-school
After-school
program
programs,
starts on the 3rd. We of course are right now planning all of our events throughout the fall to winter, our vacation weeks. I mean, it's a big planning push right now because we're just kind of like, all we could do is survive the summer, so. We are doing the fall foliage foot race. Did come up today in a WVRA meeting that, the Schwendy Fest is happening again this year. Last year, it was the first year and we did notice a little bit of an impact on the fall foliage foot race. And the downtown or the town square area being a little bit emptier. So we are going to be meeting with the people of the town square businesses and also the resort to see how we can make, all of our events align to the best. I'm not sure we have enough time to do it at this point this year, but hopefully for future years. And so this, just so you know, the Schwendy Fest, which was very successful last year, is on the same day as the fall foliage foot race, and they're starting it even earlier this year. So that is the conversation that we will have.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get a
Um,
little bit of coordination before.
well, meanwhile, they're also trying to put more to do on Saturday, which is great because they're trying to make a fuller weekend. But we just need to, anyway, we just need to meet with them to see what we can do. With the fall foliage race, we have chosen, we just wanted to present to you and get it approved that we would like to make our beneficiary the Water Valley Adaptive. So
Do what? I'm sorry.
make the beneficiary of the race. We do sort of a, the donation ends up being $5 per race entry, which comes out to usually $800-ish. That we pick a beneficiary each year. Last year it was the Race Center Preschool. And this year we're proposing it be the Water Valley Adaptive Program.
Okay.
We need to vote on that, Mark?
I think,
I think if you're in. if
well, we're in
you're
agreement, we'll vote on it once you give us the amount of money after the event, we can
Perfect.
vote, but
Yeah,
I'm
great. I
fine
just wanted
with,
to let you know.
fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
You
Good.
okay with that?
With
Yeah, no,
that as the,
I was just thinking along, because you did a dunk tank donation. Do you have a total? I mean, maybe not off the top of your head, but for next meeting of all the nonprofits that the rec department is donating to through the year?
I believe it's just the two.
Oh, okay.
It's 715 to the Doug DeCenzo, which
Right.
was raised through that dunk tank.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Where people in the community volunteered their time to sit in the dunk tank. And then we have this, which is which has been the tradition of this race since its inception,
okay.
is to, donate $5 per race entry fee
Okay.
towards.
Well, that's great.
adaptive.
So that's, those, I mean, I can put that into writing, but I
Oh,
think
no,
those
but
are the
just the
only
two.
two.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if there were more
Yeah.
that I'd missed.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, school starts on Monday. Rich and I did attend a school board meeting. Was that yesterday?
Tuesday, I think it
Yes.
was. Yeah,
Tuesday?
that was yesterday, right.
Okay. And we did find out officially that the multi-purpose room will be vacated by the middle school this year. They'll be all moving back into the original rooms, and it will be available for our use after school hours and on the weekends, which is wonderful news for programming that we have not been able to do. So, things will become an option again. So that was really good to hear.
How many, 30 students, how many?
31.
31.
31 with four of them are tuition. And I believe they were considering another tuition request, but I don't know what the number of
Right.
students that, but
I think that would have brought it to 32.
if it was just one,
If-
right.
yes,
And they
yes.
have 10, we have 10 at Plymouth High.
So, yeah, anyway, that was good news. And so we look forward to maybe bringing the Waste Center speaker series back to the multi-purpose room, ice cream socials. I mean, there's just tons of stuff that we haven't been able to do, so.
And are they doing something with the kids on election days?
Yes, they are. They didn't know what they would be doing yet, but on September 10th, they will be doing something offsite for the election day. And then again for the November
5th, right. We discussed that briefly with them, but they're
Yeah.
on it.
It was good that Rich brought it up because it's coming right up.
It is, yeah.
The boat rentals are, I think I've told you this, but we have managed to keep a couple of staff members to bring that through Labor Day. The pond, as you heard, tested slightly high for bacteria, which meant we had to post for it. They will be retesting tomorrow with results on Friday, so we're hoping that will come out. And
The
then-
weather looks good.
Right, no rain.
No rain.
For some
So-
reason, it seems to be
They
triggered
were
with rain.
taking it, they took it right
Right
after
after it
the
rained,
rain.
yes.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I mean, we're still, I know people assume it's the ducks.
I
but
did talk, well, it can be any wildlife.
It could be any wildlife, and there's
Or
only 9 feet, we
anything.
find out, what used to be 20 some odd
Right.
feet.
Yeah. it's
Is
hard to
9
get
feet.
past.
So, because of all the silt and all the organic matter that's built up since the
Yeah.
last dredging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did talk to Dylan about it. They are elevated, but they're not extremely elevated. I mean, the average that we have to meet is 88 and we were 150 and 160. So we're, it isn't 200, 300. It isn't anything that we really have to worry
But we had
that
also,
much about.
we had also been significantly lower in the earlier tests too,
And we
right?
did, yeah. And again, it was the timing
Right
of
after the rain, yeah, it's
and
interesting.
the
how
amount
that
of rain that we've been
Yeah.
getting over the last couple of weeks.
Seems counterintuitive, you would think the rain and the movement, but,
Yeah.
It actually
No, it just
washes
washes
the
everything up to
you know,
Right.
material.
and that,
Beaver dams and.
right, everything coming from Snow's Brook, so.
Yeah, so we have posted the signs and.
But much later this year than last year,
Yes,
right? I
definitely.
mean,
That's good.
it's the end of August.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely, yeah. Chalk Fest is our family, Chalk Fest is happening on August 31st as a part of the Labor Day activities, and also we'll be doing our final movie on Packard Field, which I did find out I've known that they've been very well attended throughout the summer, but last night, which was a rescheduling due to rain on Monday night, was not well attended. I think there were less than 10 people there, but it was cold and rescheduled, so. And that's about all I have. I know that you did get a copy of, the rec department's history and expenses and revenues, but I didn't know. if you
And
had-
this will be adjusted, you
Yeah.
know, all the time now, because it is a year-to-date report. As additional revenues come in and as she has more expenses, but we're tracking. You
But
know,
the-
I think we started last year about the same time looking at it, and we were in the same 39 to 45 range. We were in this same spot basically last year.
Just to
Is
point
there-
out that the numbers, up 2010 to 2023, those are full year end numbers. And the
Yeah, this
the blue
is
line
year
is
to
year to
date.
date, so
Yep.
just to make that clear.
Okay.
Any questions, comments further for rec department?
And it wasn't our doing, but I don't know if you've seen the rec department lately in the outside, what they've done to the beds and.
Yeah, they
it
put in
really
some-
Looks nice.
Put in some herb garden.
Well, not just that, but like it just hadn't been addressed, the landscaping for so long, so there were just weeds everywhere and it just did not look very good and they did a really good job. Whoever they hired to do that over the summer, recently completed that and it looks really nice. So. That's it.
Good.
Thank you. Okay,
Hi.
Hiya.
chief,
Haven't seen you in a few times. I was missing at the last one, but.
yeah, well,
um,
glad you're here today.
Thank you, me too. Just kicking off pretty much.
Fine.
You, Bert.
Thank
This
you,
last week inspection season has started. We did do the school. We've got the academy coming up this week. We did Snowy Owl. And we're working on all the other commercial properties are gonna be coming up within the next pretty much 2 months, that we'll be focusing on. Little uptick with calls, been busy just around town. A little bit more this week, it seems, with, fire alarm calls and lost people, searches. They did a search up over off Incinerator Road last night with Fish and
Oh.
Game. Found a lady and her dog that went missing, so.
Off Incinerator Road?
Yeah,
Just take a weird turn or?
She just kept going up,
Just kept going, huh?
Up?
yeah.
yeah, up,
So we told her to stop. So,
Stop.
Yeah,
going
do
up.
it off.
turn around, go down.
Oh, no.
yeah. During that rescue though, in trying to get the Mahindra up there, looks like the 4-wheel drive. Is out. Jason's been looking at it and we're not quite sure exactly, what it is, but so it looks like the Mahindra will be down for. However long until we can find it. In 2-wheel drive, it's fine for in and around town, but if we have to take it off-road, it's. I wouldn't want to do that and then have to string a crew somewhere because they got stuck, basically, so. So be down and out. If we really need one, we could call Campton Thornton and
You still got DP, you got.
we have the Kubota.
We have the Kubota.
Yeah, we have the Kubota, we can jump on that if we need it. So other than that, in the report, I did wanna let you know, and I did send Mark an email, it was early this afternoon. Of a cease and desist that I ordered today for a project across the street at one of the single family homes over here for the new house. Discovered that they're putting a pickleball court in.
This is down Triple I going right,
Really?
Right over here.
yeah.
Like what, alongside the river?
Yeah, next to their house.
Oh, yeah,
that's
they used to
being
have like a
built. It's not part of
volleyball
the
court or
plan.
something there.
There's no permit. There's no DES permit, because it is within
Yeah.
shoreland,
Yeah.
all that, so, I am working with the contractor. I did give them a cease and desist, they had everything set to have more concrete poured on Friday. We had checked, we've done we did the rough framing and electrical and plumbing inspection back in April. And Jim and I said, hey, we haven't heard anything from these guys, let's go see what's going on, and lo and behold, so, they have a cease and desist. The concern is that they built a retaining wall for all the material to be able to make the court. I feel they're not only in the setback, but I think they're on Forest Service land.
Yeah,
So, I'm putting the burden on them to prove to me that they're not.
Was that subdivided or is it still the house that's there that owns it, the new one?
It's the same owner, but they are two separate lots.
Right.
Uh,
Not that long ago, we changed the zoning to. What did we change the zoning to? It wasn't the right zoning.
No, it was it used to be village commercial.
That's it.
And that
we,
particular lot is LDR.
right, we changed it to LDR, right?
Yes, yeah. So, so they have a 5-foot setback to the Forest Service, and I don't think they're meeting that.
Well, but they have a 250-foot
Yeah.
setback from the normal high water, right?
No, well, they had a DES permit.
Oh,
for the-
okay.
For the new construction, and they got a LOMA.
Okay, good.
Yep. In order to build to proceed to build the house, since they are within the flood zone.
Yeah.
So, the burden's on them.
Is there a basement or is there
No,
a slab?
it's a crawl space. So it's only like a 4-foot crawl space.
For
underneath.
flooding.
So
So the is this intended pickleball, I assume it's just for their personal use, but that's the question here.
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot more landscaping modification done than what was reflected, that was approved on
yeah,
the original plan. So that's one of the issues, is I don't have a plan for any of the modification to the landscaping.
Hmm.
2, I don't have a separate building permit because that's not part of the original project.
right.
So I need a building permit for the court.
Pickleball court.
It looks like there's a lot line and or setback issue to
With
the
the
Forest
Forest
Service. And there's no DES, but going through the DES's has like a checklist that you can say, do you need a permit or do you not need a permit?
Mhm.
Me going through that process, knowing what the project is, they need a permit from DES. So until that happens, I haven't notified, I don't intend to notify the Forest Service at this point until I definitively know. I'm putting the burden on them to show me where the line is and take the measurements.
Okay.
If it is, then I can make that notification. If it isn't, well, then we can just move on. But at this point, I did give them a verbal and email cease and desist today for the project. So, other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions about the update. That's on vacation this week. That's pretty much all I have.
On the villas, it's they don't seem to be working on them. Are they waiting till they sell those units before they finish the railings and the entrance from that south side of the building?
Yeah, well, I think there's an issue. I think they were having a contractor issue where I don't know if they came out, but I know that some of the plumbers, they're waiting on some of the plumbers to get into some of those other units now, and they have hired the plumbers that were working on the Green Peak project. As soon as they're done, they're gonna come over and start working on that. I think the holdup for the landscaping is their association had to vote on what kind of screening they were gonna use for their HVAC, whether it was gonna be the trees or the metal screen. And so I think until they make that decision, depends on whether they're planting or whether they're not, and the whole project gets completed. So
we did tell them that we expected all the external work to be done by the end of September. Am I remembering correctly?
I believe so. I'd
Yeah,
have to- I'd have
that's
to
what,
look,
I
yeah.
think that's what you
Yeah.
had said.
So they've got a month to fix that. It's that door that goes nowhere
Yeah,
at the moment.
yeah.
But as far as the internal is concerned, that's
However
Yeah,
they
a
want to do
timing
it.
is
Yeah.
not an issue for us on that.
And really substantial completion,
Is the point, is
they've
the
got all the
standard,
infrastructure
right?
installed. They've paved the roads, the access ways, driveways.
Mhm.
So they are substantially complete other than final approval of the plantings
The landscaping and now the dumpster enclosure.
and the dumpster enclosure.
So the assessors, looked at that as of April.
They look at it at
Percentage of
April
completion
one,
as of April.
yeah, so they'll probably be 50%, 60% on April 1 of this year. And then hopefully finished by next year. Yeah, we're only gonna get partial value on that. But I mean, from a code enforcement standpoint and for meeting the site plan requirements, they have met substantial completion. So now it's just following up on getting
Yeah,
them
it's
to,
the loam, the
get the
plantings,
loam,
getting
yeah.
it up to grade for some of those exterior stairs, getting
Yeah.
another set of stairs on there, so.
yeah, fairly minor
Yeah.
things.
What are the, maybe you don't know this, but what are the big blocks that are in the BBTS parking lot?
So they're they're replacing a retaining wall to that second house, not the, you go up the steep driveway,
Up on the hill?
yeah, up on the hill, out in front. So I guess it was stone, there was some movement
Oh.
to what was originally put there.
Oh.
And they're replacing it with that engineered
Oh.
block, so,
I was wondering where it was going.
yeah.
Do we want to bring up the road issue?
Please, yeah,
So,
that's the other reason why. I
yep.
asked.
So David, did you receive, or the DPS receive, any sort of formal report about, incident that was mentioned on Facebook about somebody driving actually in the multi-use lane?
We didn't get any calls about that other than us seeing it on social media ourselves,
Mhm.
so. Nobody called 911, nobody made a report.
So we really don't know exactly what happened. I mean, I'm assuming, I went and looked, that someone made a left turn off of Tecumseh to Snows Brook and ended up all the way over and was driving down the,
That's what it sounds like.
that's what it sounds
That's
like,
what it sounds
but
like
you
to
have
me.
not, but you've
Yeah.
not talked to anybody,
I
they've not
haven't.
reported
Yep.
to you.
Yep.
Yeah, and,
I would just encourage, if that stuff does happen, to call us,
well,
you
yeah,
know, when it happens, so we can address,
Right,
you know, we certainly can address those.
yeah.
right, both the
Those
immediate
issues.
and if there's a fix we need. Uh,
Yeah, if a delineator got moved on one of the corners and someone turned and didn't see it and drove in between, perhaps, I don't know, but you know.
Yeah, if that's the issue, it seems to me putting a delineator to the left of the driveway into the Silver Fox would help mitigate that issue. When you're turning left, there's no delineator for a bit on Snows going down Snows Brook. But if you have a delineator, if you're looking at the driveway of the Silver Fox, you have a delineator just to the left of the driveway, it'll be much more apparent. Because then you're kind of facing it
Yeah,
and you're gonna be turning more. I'm just guessing though, because,
yeah, I think delineator life there is very difficult because of that
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah,
And
well,
all
we
the.
may
And I
have
think
those.
we've put a delineator there and had it knocked.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it lasts long there.
yeah, there's that and a signage icon, I'm trying
Yeah.
to figure out how to.
Yeah, cause that came in, right? The icon for the,
Again, she's been gone all
Right,
week, so I don't know if it came in. The crew's been down here doing the
Right.
okay.
transfer station, so.
I mean,
I
generally
will check with
speaking, I
them.
think not having the icons up is
Mhm.
is part of the issue.
Yeah.
I don't know if if there's any more signs we want to put up at some key areas. But certainly, I mean, that,
You
it's a
see-
combination of all these delineators, signage, and an icon, I
Yeah, and
think.
I see it as very isolated too, so.
Yeah.
it's
That's the
not-
first I've ever
it's
heard
not
of
the First
anybody.
time I've ever heard or seen it,
Right,
and I don't think it's a regular
Right.
occurrence that's happening. Certainly if it is.
We need to
we'll-
know.
we'll
Well,
correct
yeah,
it,
I mean,
we'll
but-
address it.
Yeah,
You could've-
absolutely.
yeah.
Please
was
report
this
it.
an
Yeah.
impaired driver in some way?
Right.
Yeah, we don't know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, we just don't know. Yeah.
Or what about with all of the landscaping companies that are just pulling into the multi-use?
I've been
fund? Does that-
working with Pat. I've mentioned it to Dave and Pat, and Patrick has been going out.
Yeah.
When people call here to say that they are out there, and
Or
I
send
believe he
send
is
you text
ticketed
pictures,
or send texts, and that's fine
Which is
too,
what I've
just
done.
letting us,
Yeah, I call.
let us know,
Yeah.
and we've ticketed.
Yeah.
We've ticketed at least
Yeah.
one,
Yeah,
maybe more.
we've had them move and we explained to them that that's not a parking spot, so.
Yeah.
They've been,
again, that may be an iconing issue in
Well, but
some
in
places.
theory, icons won't be there. I can't help but think that having an extra delineator between them in places where, you know, you have.
Yeah, I mean, we could relook at, I mean, I think we had more delineators and then we got a
We
lot
did.
of complaints and we backed off and increased the distance to, what was it, what is it, Dave? I know
Well,
there was
it's
some concern.
variable, it's variable.
It's variable,
They're
They're
closer
right
on
around
the
the
corner,
Of
they're
course.
closer on the corner of Tecumseh.
Right.
They're spread out more on Valley Road. I mean, we are varying them,
right,
you know,
depending
just
on
to-
the,
from like 50 to 100.
Yeah.
yeah, that was it.
So,
We,
yeah.
Yeah.
we halved it, I think, in
Mhm.
most places.
Right, but for a landscaping vehicle with what's usually a big trailer to accompany.
Yeah, no, it's very
carry the-
convenient.
It's,
and then,
well, and they
for
don't
them
seem to have
pop
any
in there.
issue, so it does seem like there's a really big space for that type of a big vehicle to feel comfortable pulling in. I mean, they shouldn't feel comfortable with that. If the delineators were a little closer. I mean, we didn't have that problem last summer, right?
No, because we.
Yeah, but I
something
think
like
we
every
had too many
50.
delineators last year.
There were too many, but I think
Yeah, that's
we
the.
we
that's
might, we
the
need that
complaint.
just right, yeah.
Or at least in certain, I mean, it's kind of hard to regulate that with delineators. Right?
Well,
Unless you wanted a lot of delineators so that they can't fit.
Well, I think it was a little some education too, for many of the
Right.
landscapers are.
out of
uh,
towners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and most of them are routine, they're showing up to the same places and.
Right,
once-
so they'll
Once
learn.
they get talked to or ticketed once,
Right.
we usually are getting compliance.
I mean,
so.
there's nothing when you first come into town that indicates what that is.
Right.
Everybody assumes that that's it, because they see people walking on it or what have you, that's what that delineated area is to the right of the double white lines. But there's nothing that indicates, we've got a delineator at the entrance of town that blocks it, so
right,
people can't drive
Mhm.
in, so. I know there's a, and it was even mentioned in the social media posts, you know, you have people complaining that there were too many delineators and people complaining that, where are the delineators now? So, you
right.
know, we're getting whipsawed.
Well, yeah, but, you know, maybe we have gone from too close to too far, and if they're.
So, still the
and it's
Goldilocks
tedious.
solution, we're
Yeah,
looking
it-
for the,
75.
Yeah,
well,
well,
I
I know,
is
I
that
mean, it
right?
is tedious to have to go back
Right,
and forth.
or at
and
least
waste
in
that
some
time on it,
areas,
but
right?
Yeah,
I mean, but I don't see it, even at 75, trucks will
Well,
still
we're
be able
not
to pull
100
in.
feet everywhere.
No,
is-
no.
No.
Is what we're saying. We
Right.
Right.
do at the choke points, we are
Mhm.
getting them closer together.
Right,
I think it's
Yeah.
more of an education thing with
I-
the contractors.
I agree.
yeah,
telling
I mean,
them.
we have shut off the issues at Green Peak.
Mm-hmm.
That contractor the guy who got caught didn't know.
yeah,
He
yeah.
got a ticket and his boss now knows, and we haven't had a problem since the ticket was
That's
issued.
better.
Because there's only one company, I think, maintaining that area, so.
right,
You mean the landscaping on
Or
Green Peak?
landscaping, yeah,
Yeah,
right. But then there was a company, and I didn't see the name, but it was earlier this week, or late last week. As I turned out of here, they were just
yeah,
there on the
that's
right,
right.
just before.
right, no, I've
Yeah.
seen that. Yeah.
They're in the
right.
houses.
And those houses
In
where
the,
they jumped
in the
on.
Jugtown subdivision.
Right,
Yeah.
Yep, and we'll get to those contractors and we'll continue the education. I mean, we had the issue even at the um. Waterville Place beside the athletic center.
mm-hmm,
They were doing work in there and there were contractors parked along the road as they were doing the work. Now, that was work on the driveway, so,
right.
Still not.
you
a
know,
parking
and
spot,
then
yeah.
it's still not a parking
No.
spot,
Yeah.
so, but. You know,
Work
so there's
something
gonna
out.
have to be some review by the
Right.
police
But
at
we,
that
we're
point,
allowing them to
and
park on the road on,
Yes.
for certain things.
Permitted projects,
Right.
you know.
right,
the
like across
building
from the
constru-
tennis courts, they're
building
doing a lot of work
construction,
in
The
there.
ordinance does allow for construction for them to park on the road
Right.
Mhm.
for construction projects,
Okay,
you know, permitted, you know, renovations, projects, that sort of thing, allows them to do that.
so that's what's happening on that house, across from the tennis courts.
Yeah.
I forget the
Yeah,
number.
we just
Fencing.
encourage them to be on one
Thanks.
side of the road or the other,
Mhm.
Right,
you know, and make sure that they're not
right,
impeding in the traffic.
but that's different from
Mhm.
the
Right.
landscaping companies
Right.
who are pulling up,
Yes.
nice convenient,
Right,
8 foot wide,
exactly.
Yeah,
and pop out your lawnmower and
Mhm.
do it, yeah.
Yep.
And all that is different from the safety issue we were talking about, potential, yeah. So I don't know, I don't know, what else can we say or do about this? I mean, you have not gotten a report that we can actually figure out what actually happened.
Well, let's not beat it to death. I mean, it happened once and it's probably.
No, I agree, but I mean, if
Yeah.
people, I think the point only I'm trying to make is if you're seeing something like this, you need to report it to the town. Social media is not helpful.
No, and we
Yeah.
find this more and more even for even
Routine,
the most, you
Right.
know, whether it's a noise complaint, vandalism,
yeah,
missing property, you know, that it's easy for people to post on social media than
Yeah.
it is to
yeah.
call us, I guess, so.
Mm.
I
But
guess
they
if
should,
it,
yeah.
we see it as if it is that important to them, they should call us.
Mhm. I think we all agree.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll continue to watch it and, you know, if we
Yeah, I
have
still
a
think
problem-
in key areas, we should put some extra delineators in.
Yeah.
If we're seeing repeated issues in certain areas, what's it take a minute to put a delineator in? It just.
Yeah.
it-
Even if
I
it does
think
take a
it's been-
beating, I mean,
Yeah.
if it's a safety
Yeah,
issue.
and if it's a place where a delineator keeps getting wiped out, well, that almost says to me there should be a delineator there because people aren't.
Are
Maybe it
going,
needs to be adjusted, you know, a foot or
Right.
two in, but obviously people are driving
Okay,
where we're trying to. Keep them off.
yeah, I do think that may be the case. At that intersection with
Mm.
Tecumseh and Silver Fox. I think the first delineator is a little bit down the road.
Mm.
You could put one to the left.
But I
gets
do
beat up,
understand the
it gets
one-off
beat up.
thing. I mean, I literally,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
12 years ago, I was walking along Valley Road and someone turned onto the sidewalk and was driving at me. It's like, no.
Yeah.
No.
okay, we'll take a look at some of those spots.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Anything else, chief?
I don't have anything else, so.
Okay. Anything for DPS from the board? Want to go to DPW and road projects? or-
Yeah, the crew has been out here this week and they should be finished up. Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you.
Thanks, chief. Thanks, chief.
They should be finished today with all the site prep for the paving, which is scheduled for the Tuesday after Labor Day. Or after Labor Day, so that would be what, the third, to start with the paving. We do have the alternative route through the transfer station right now that we're following. because we had to keep people off there.
Mhm.
I believe today I didn't have a chance to look at it before the meeting, but they were supposed to start the ramp for the metal can and the construction debris.
So how
Can.
much are we paving? We just paving the,
Whatever's dirt
Yeah.
out here. The right-hand side as you drive in.
so we're gonna have new pavement and then we're gonna have the old pavement?
Yeah, yeah, for right now. And we'll see how it settles. She had those numbers that we showed you. I think it was 77,000 for everything. But we're gonna save the top coat until we see what, well, first of all, we gotta get the water sewer lines installed.
Mm.
And then let that trench settle out. We'll probably put coal patch or a temporary patch on that for the winter. And then let
From the
that
garage
settle
maintenance
from
garage
the garage
to the
to
building.
the building, yeah. The electrical line is in. The interior work is probably about 50% complete inside the building. We are waiting for the electrician to come back and run the electrical lines, and then they can finish the walls in the bathroom
Good.
installation in there. We the ramp for the C and D can and the metal can will be faced towards Triple I Road, right up to the fence line, and the cans will sit on either side of it. So people will back in, dump their stuff, and then drive out. So whereas it was in the middle of the paved area, it'll be off to the side. And then the containers will be repositioned from, obviously from where they are right now, up to the fence line as well. So the right-hand side as you drive in will be container, the ramp, and then another container. And then the back corner, the sharp right corner, be what, the northwest side of the transfer station will be snow storage. And then the corner
Mhm.
closest to the DPW garage and town hall right here will be the other snow storage area
So across from each other. Diagonal.
diagonally, yeah.
Okay.
Status
of the AOC?
The AOC is over. We are clear. Our thanks to the Assistant Commissioner of DES for helping us work that out.
Very good.
Very responsive. That was great.
Nice.
So I did get the email, the follow-up email that I told you about when I
Okay.
texted you. So we have it in writing.
So
that
this
it's
is a
done.
properly permitted.
This is a properly permitted and operating facility right now. We are still
Still
on track
working.
for the permanent fence line and the
Mhm.
light poles for
Mhm.
middle of September. That's the last date she had from the
Mm-hmm.
fence company. Cascade Ridge, it's gonna be the same paving company that's doing the transfer station and Cascade Ridge, so we're hoping that weather-wise, everything works for the first week of September. So they'll be up there, and the paving company is bringing their grader to town to do the final fine grading.
Yeah.
Our crew will probably go up next week and do some rough repairs on Cascade Ridge from the erosion that's happened with the rain. But I drove up there on Monday and it actually has compacted very well. The rain has been helpful in that sense. There is some erosion.
Looked like on the right going up just before that new
Yeah.
house on the right, looked
Yeah.
like there was a,
There is a washout and the
Washout, yeah.
crew, I talked to Sam about that, and when they're up there doing the rough work before the fine grade, they will put some stone in there. It's on the inside corner as you're going up.
one thing I noticed that on changing the subject a little
Mhm.
bit, but for DPW work. I was in the cemetery yesterday and it looks like a lot of the, I think they're rhododendrons
They
up
are.
up on the, looks like they've overgrown.
They have, they're
bit.
actually sliding down the hill.
Kind of
Yeah,
the drainage
And
problem.
we have a very big substantial drainage problem
yeah,
with that hillside, and we need to contact the new owners that purchased from the Sununus, I think, were the prior owners.
right.
We're gonna have to talk to the new owners and come up with a CIP cost. But we need to address the upper edge of the pond.
Yeah.
There are some stones that are starting to get covered
That's right.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah,
overgrowth.
by the overgrowth.
Yeah, right in the
And-
center, Deb Jennings, for
Right,
instance.
and it's not just the size of the rhododendron as they've grown up, it is actually, they are sliding down
Hmm.
the hill. And we've been talking about that probably for 10 years now. It's just when a couple of contractors have looked at it and the problem is getting over the stream. You're gonna be on private property as soon as you get off the path into the cemetery, so we need to talk to landowners about how to get equipment up there. We're gonna need a mini excavator. We probably are gonna need to build some sort of French drain or something to get the water to go towards the stream.
That's that big
Intercept it.
house lot at the very end of Cascade Ridge Road.
Yeah,
It extends down.
it
to the-
extends right down
that-
to
to the
the.
You might be able to,
cemetery.
you might be able to catch it, and if there's a path through the center of the cemetery, you might be able to make a French drain right through the center of the cemetery and catch the,
Well, but the problem is those upper lots
yeah,
we
Some-
need to drain before them. And there's a spring that is just under the rhododendron,
yeah.
right up at the top of that. I don't know which column it is, but
Hmm.
we need to get the water out of there. I mean, that hill goes,
Yeah.
what, another couple hundred feet,
Yeah.
right?
What's the timing of a project like this, do you think?
It's gonna be a spring or a fall
Of next year?
project. Oh, very earliest, yeah.
So that's what I
I
mean. You
mean,
think we should, the
we're gonna-
CIP
Yeah, it's
committee
gonna
should be
have to.
looking at
No, we
and
will
adding
be.
it for
We'll- gonna-
approval for this budget, upcoming budget
Yeah,
season.
if we can get some pricing, sure.
Mhm. Yeah, we also had talked, it's different project, but purchasing some land on the other side, on the downslope.
Yep, I
And that
think
part-
we should,
right,
I think
we
we
need
should
to-
approach that property owner as well and talk to them. It would be nice, I mean, Sharon seeing it, right, as people come in and
There's
And-
more activity. sadly,
Unfortunately.
In that sense, interest in the cemetery.
yeah.
Right.
I think Public Works wise, everything else is going okay. Still waiting on the dumpsters and.
Everything's still good to go on schedule for Jennings Peak and
Yep,
Piper
we-
coming in and
we
finishing.
have the final plans from the engineers, and those are being reviewed by Bill Dower and Megan. To make sure, we need to meet with the Pikes, who are property owners at the very end
Mhm.
of Jennings Peak, about now that we have the drawing with the revised turnaround, and talk to them about easement requirements.
Is there a new property owner for the Lovett property?
There may be, but I don't know a name.
Not
Not that you
You
know
haven't
of.
seen
that I've
any yet.
received
Yeah.
that deed yet.
And the status of the culvert, has it arrived for the project
No.
off of Tecumseh?
No.
The
Was
what?
it, the culvert we're
The
waiting
box
for?
culvert.
Oh,
We're
The
waiting for
box
the box
culvert,
culvert.
right, that was supposed to be August, right, last we heard,
Yeah,
supposed to be,
supposed to be.
right.
Piper is due in the first or second week of September to start Jennings Peak.
Right,
So
and
I
the
would
idea was for
anticipate-
them to do that project.
they're gonna do both. They're
Right,
gonna do
but we
both
need to
at the
have
same time.
We need to have the
Yeah.
culvert. a very expensive culvert.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Anything else on
Nope.
for DPW? Did you get your digester put in yet?
Not yet, I. Not to bore you with details, but we have clay. After this much, it's clay, so
Oh,
it's
right.
not draining.
You need.
I
yeah.
think I'm gonna do something I haven't read about doing, I'm gonna try it, so I reached out to Megan, but you know, didn't realize she was out. I just need to refill the hole with sand and gravel so
Mhm.
that it'll drain, and then I've got a raised bed that I'm putting above that it will mostly sit in. So
Okay.
It
yeah,
will.
It does need to be, that lip needs to be under,
Yeah,
Under
but
dirt,
it needs to,
underground.
exactly, and it has to drain, and with all the rain we've had, it's just not been dry.
well,
At first I dug it just to be nice and snug, then we increased it by 50%, and it's a
Still.
nice pond.
well,
So-
okay, yeah, it's one of the things they
But that's
say, you
one of the
need to
things we
make
have
sure,
to figure out, yeah.
will it drain, and they talk about that in the
That's why I
instructions.
thought I should be a guinea pig and.
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
yeah,
Rick Smith's working.
It sounds that
Says
way,
it's
yeah.
working.
yeah, I'm
so
having
it
no
works.
difficulty as far as I know, I'm
Good,
not sure if I've had any visitors. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
he
any,
said he hasn't had any problem with.
but it's
Grass.
there,
Mhm.
I,
I think you would know if someone got aggressive with trying to get
yeah,
in there.
the only thing I'm worried about is that the cover doesn't seem to be very,
Right,
very sturdy. I mean, the attachment of the cover to the cone looks
Yeah, well-
like something can rip that off pretty.
right, and that they can send
easily.
extras of those, because from when I
Right.
spoke to the guy at Tar River, that is the most frequently
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
taken
a
off
strip of,
item.
yeah, just a strip of flexible plastic,
Yeah,
right?
Mhm.
So, I don't know how you bear proof that.
yeah,
But anyway, so yeah, I'll keep them observing and see what happens, but we started putting food waste down there.
Good,
We'll
good.
see. Okay, nothing else for,
No, and
For
admin,
DPW?
you met the new staff member
yeah,
and.
Wendy, right?
Jamie,
Jamie, thank
Yeah.
you.
And so things are
Great.
going.
Now she's gonna be
With
how many
that,
hours a week?
It'll be variable 25 or
Okay,
so.
so same,
Mhm, same as Michelle.
what have been
Mhm.
right in the past.
Yep.
Good.
That's it.
Okay, let's see, there's department head updates, road project updates. Action item list, is that?
You
The
have
next,
the list
talk
in
about?
here. I've updated the color codes on things that we've finished or things that are
Mm-hmm.
in process. The dump truck, with Megan gone, we have not been down to pick it up. I believe it is ready, but.
That number 9,
The
lease.
number 9 item, yeah.
Mhm.
So that should be, complete. And so we're just awaiting delivery. Everything is on hold for the van,
Yeah,
skid steer.
I mean, I had
plan, so
no
Any
questions on
other
anything.
questions?
Did you
or
guys have any?
On 13, you're still waiting to meet with
13?
the,
Oh.
with, James on,
I did,
dredging.
we sat down
Mhm.
with Tim and James, and we've got a tentative plan that I need to review with the engineers to see how it will work. But they have conceptually agreed to provide the laydown area.
okay,
Where they have the pergola.
And, over by the pergola, over by the
Right.
apple tree will be the area where we do the laydown. So that we can do the dry dredging.
On the side where the wedding site is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
wedding
the
site.
Arba.
Yeah,
Arbor,
arbor.
whatever, right,
Yeah,
Osceola
they call it
Arbor.
pergola. That's what Bill Cantling called it. It's
Yeah, well,
the arbor now,
Yeah, well, but that
the wedding.
Yeah.
structure is a
Yep.
pergola.
And so they do not, I think we had talked about engineering it over the year next year and
Right,
actually doing the project
right,
in 2026.
Yeah,
But the idea would be to get a conceptual budget number, go for a warrant article at
Approval.
the 2025 town meeting with
Mhm.
a good sized contingency, because we'll be a
Okay.
year out. And then do the project and do the project with a bond anticipation note,
Mhm.
and then actually bond whatever we use for the note. So right now we have what, a $2,200,000 cost estimate
That was the option
for
we chose,
dry,
right?
for
Yeah.
dry excavation,
Right,
and the trucking out from that site. So do a bond authorization in 2025 that is 2.5 million or
Mhm.
2.6 million, whatever we're comfortable with, to have a contingency,
Mhm.
and then do the engineering in 25, put it out to bid in the fall of 25, have a good number,
Mhm.
because the preferred time frame from the resort standpoint is in the spring.
Mhm.
So if winter ended and we could begin it in March,
Sure, yeah,
using the 90-day time frame that
They estimated,
Horizons
right.
estimated,
yeah,
we could do it in March, April, May,
that'd be great,
and then go into the summer.
yeah,
If not in the spring, then we could do a fall 2026
Mhm.
project and start
Pending
it
state,
right after Columbus Day weekend.
I'm gonna
And-
start it right after Labor Day, actually.
Well, either way, depending on the business,
Yeah.
the fall business,
So,
but they could they were even okay from the resort standpoint, if you started it after, in October, they're okay with the pond not having water in it for the winter.
okay, good.
Oh.
So we could do the
Extend.
later start date, and we could have an end date before Christmas.
That'd be great.
So it'd be
Yeah.
October,
Yeah.
November, December.
okay,
That would be the second. The other consideration is what DES is gonna permit us to do.
yeah,
The last time we did it, they turned us away from the spring, because we did propose.
The spring
an
is
early-
wetter, you know.
Well, and it's primarily because it's wetter, and stormwater plans are a lot more difficult to
Right.
implement. And there may be additional cost of doing it in the spring that we don't wanna
right,
get into.
But it seems
But
like, what about their weddings?
if they're either one of those time
Mhm.
periods, number one, it's in 26, so they can
Yeah,
plan just summer weddings.
Mhm.
And those are low use time periods for that area, whether it's the spring or the fall. So it fits in from a business standpoint, it fit what their desire.
Yeah, no,
was.
they would
And-
like to, and they like to see it done sooner rather than later.
Right.
Understanding that sooner for us means 2026.
Right.
But
Yeah,
go
and,
through all
and
the
we all agreed
necessary.
that we would not try to do it in 25.
No, I mean, we've got the
Right.
financing and the engineering.
I would think that from their planning standpoint for weddings, if we were not gonna start until after Labor Day, let's say in 26. Then they can actually sell weddings for that site during the summer of 26.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
But if we were gonna do it in the spring, given the
Yeah.
variable weather,
I mentioned that.
I'd be,
too.
I'd be
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
afraid to book a wedding in June.
I understand,
Yeah.
and,
I mean,
and. that-
Especially what's the site
I
gonna
mean,
look like after.
they may
the
come
laydown
in
area?
Smell like.
well, they may come in, we did talk about
We
this. They
did.
may land for them, on the fall.
Yeah.
Even though right
I
now
would
it's a
think they
second
need to
option.
know that way ahead of time.
Right.
'Cause the
They do.
For
weddings-
exactly that
And
reason.
so I think the
Yeah.
next step now is to bring Horizons back in. We
Yeah.
have everybody on board.
Yeah.
Let's start doing the engineering and the permitting for the dry excavation. Let's get a budget number that we can take to town meeting for a bond authorization. Settle on a good contingency number that everybody's comfortable with. And then.
That sounds
let's-
like a good plan to me.
Right, and then
Okay.
do the engineering and
Yeah.
then.
Yep.
See, I think from our
And-
perspective, spring or fall is,
It's irrelevant from from the town perspective.
Right.
I can't see any real
other than
difference.
costs.
Other than the
potential.
potential costs
Right.
and whether or
Well-
not we can get it permitted.
Well,
Right.
then, I think from the town rec standpoint,
Right,
I'd rather be able to use the beach in the summer
Absolutely.
and do it in the fall. I think it's
Uh,
better from the
I
town.
think we're taking much less risk if we do it in the fall.
Yeah.
I think-
Absolutely.
right.
And I
Yeah.
think we should continue
Right.
to push for that.
And you don't think DES would have any
Oh.
issues?
Uh, okay, nothing.
Yeah.
It's not related.
No, and
Right.
we,
It
we
was
can,
Tim, but it wasn't related.
we conveyed all this.
Yeah, we conveyed it, we can,
Yeah.
and we discussed this, and they're gonna go back and look and. They just threw out the spring, it surprised me, the spring
Yeah,
of
yeah.
26. But we can do it either way. And I think we bring the engineers in and say,
Right.
what's easier to permit?
Well, that, yeah, cause I
That's
was
the
thinking
other
about the
side.
winter, because, I mean,
Mhm.
that's gonna impact all the wildlife downstream for the whole winter as well, potentially too, right?
I think the winter is the best time. to do it.
Okay.
You'll have the least
That's
impact.
right, from the DES.
It's whether or not,
Okay.
it's whether or not the contractor can get in
Ah,
there.
sure.
Yeah.
and act
Yeah,
on
and
it.
the issue with the
Okay.
spring too, I think we mentioned is that if it goes on longer than anticipated.
Yeah,
It's in
yeah.
the summer.
Or in the
That's
summer, whereas if we
problem.
do it in the fall.
Right.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah.
We've got more
Yeah.
time, weather dependent, of course,
Yeah.
but.
I think it's
we're not-
much safer from everybody's standpoint.
I think so, and yeah.
And we'll continue to talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Good.
But it was a good conversation.
So obviously they're not gonna do the boutique hotel till after that.
It didn't appear that way.
No, but that's one of the reasons why they preferred a sooner rather than later.
And they're also very supportive of Horizon's idea of the 4-bay, where we get an annual permit to dredge,
For the-
right?
Yeah.
We build those rocks
yeah.
Right,
and have a
and then
4-bay.
dredge it,
And I
silt
talked to
collector, right?
a
Yeah.
silt collecting
That we
area.
dredge every year.
Yep, and I did talk to the Conservation Commission. We did not talk about the conservation land, but we talked about the remediation project on
Go
Snows
upstream,
Brook.
yeah,
And Rick Vanderpool was at the meeting. He has a plan where the remediation project can be scaled back, and for less than the town's $50,000, he can get a meaningful remediation project done.
Okay,
We are in the process of completing paperwork for the Forest Service so that he could do that work next summer.
that'd be good.
And we would then have the remediation done before we started the dredging.
Right,
And the Conservation Commission, I explained some of the issues that we
Mhm.
just talked about with the dredging. They're all in favor of being supportive of the siltation
Yeah.
area as well.
that would be so key.
So
Yeah.
I think if we have the Conservation Commission and the resort both on our
Right.
side, we can go to DES and
Yeah.
with the
Right.
plan and get it. permitted.
And the pond becomes, landlocked isn't the right word, but once a hotel goes up, where do
Right.
we?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So
dredging becomes problematic. at
really
that
more,
point.
much more expensive,
Yeah.
much more difficult, greater impact everywhere, because we're gonna
Everywhere.
have to
Yeah.
push this stuff out
Yeah.
for
So,
even a drying area.
I think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
We'll get back with Horizons and.
You
get
know,
them
I wonder
going.
whether, I had this idea a couple of years ago of, a fountain
Mhm.
shooting up in the middle of the pond. And I wonder if something like that would sort of do the same thing as
Oh, the
these,
area.
the aerators at the bottom.
Okay,
And it would create a feature,
It would,
you put, at night, make it blue and green and you get lights on it.
Okay.
During the day, it maybe only goes up 20 feet or something because of boats and stuff in there, but after a certain hour, maybe after 7 o'clock at night, it goes up to 100 feet. So it's create a,
yeah.
Future. Okay,
Yeah, and we can have Horizons look at that.
I think you could really create a feature that would be, with lights on it and all, I think you could really create something that would be really nice, but at the same time, it might.
do the aeration.
The aeration issue.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I called up an engineer, a snowmaking engineer about it a couple of years ago, and he never got back to me. I think he was a little reluctant to be doing stuff for free for me. I was asking him what it would cost for pumps and, you know, all that, and I think I was trying to pick his brain too much for,
Well, we can certainly ask Horizons,
Mhm.
see what they think of that and what the cost would be,
Okay,
were we to pursue that.
all right.
Okay, anything else on the dredging or anything else on the action item list?
I saw, there's some on, it's changing the subject a little bit, but not maybe,
Mhm.
on, social media, there was a bunch of stuff, on signs in the last
Oh,
day
yeah.
or so.
Yeah, that was the other
And,
big
and
issue.
one of the signs that was mentioned, and there was a picture of it, was the one for the conservation land that,
Mhm.
that we're just talking about
Mhm.
above Snows Brook. That was, it's apparently, I haven't never seen the sign except in the picture that I just saw on
Mhm.
but it was a fairly large sign and it looked like anyway. And somebody was talking about the indigenous,
Yeah, the land acknowledgement at the bottom of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's there. I mean, it's on the conservation land. I think it's a conservation commission
Yeah, they announced
decision.
using it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, I don't
they-
object to it, but
no, I mean, the point was taken, but I think they made that decision and they used their funds to install it. If anyone has an issue with it, they need to go to the conservation
Yep.
commission.
yeah.
Okay, so if we're done with the action item list, you have
The
something?
the only other thing is what, we really don't have anything to put out on the treatment plant project yet.
Mhm.
I have not had a chance to ask Brooke whether or not she's gonna participate on the Getting to Know the Valley Day.
I had that
They
question here.
usually have
Yeah,
a rec department table.
yeah.
Public safety will have a cruiser in town, but I don't really see a need for a table with all the work they
Yeah.
do at National Night Out and the community,
Civilian,
other,
yeah,
academy,
Classes,
Citizens
yeah.
Academy, thank you. You know, I'm not planning on, any town department
Participation.
participation. I mean,
Right.
we've been out there a lot lately, in several areas, and I really don't have a lot of
Right.
additional information to report on the treatment plant, which has been the last 2 years,
right.
has been a big part of what we've been
Mhm.
doing.
So, at the annual Historical Society meeting, Reggie, the president, mentioned that they are planning to go ahead with the Getting to Know the Valley.
Yep.
I think it's
Yeah,
that,
yep.
Labor Day,
Yep.
Labor Day weekend. So is Brooke our interface with her on that, or do we
Well,
have, or
I
I think
don't
she
know
needs,
that. I
right, maybe we
have
need-
been the
maybe,
interface
okay,
in
maybe you
prior
need to reach
years.
out. They are planning it, so do you want to reach out to her?
Well, no,
Well,
I was asking
yeah.
you guys if you saw a need for any
No, I think
particular
I think we're
department.
saying
Okay,
no,
then she sent out a reminder for RSVPs and I
Right.
want to respond to it. And I'm gonna respond negatively. Public safety will be there.
Mhm.
The rec, I'm gonna let them do their table if they have one planned.
Yep.
And then for the rest of the town departments, I was not gonna do anything.
no, the rest
that
has
okay?
always been an ongoing project.
Yeah. Okay,
Right?
all right,
I don't recall if was the rec there last
yes,
year?
yes,
I'm trying
they've
to
been there
remember.
both.
The both
years.
years, yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, was, there were many,
Okay,
fewer participants.
Yeah.
Last year,
Okay.
as I recall.
and then next year, when we have something to report,
Right.
we'll be there, yeah. And probably that'll be a good time for the dredging project and
Yeah.
other big things that'll be coming up.
We got a few of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Anything else on the action item list or
That's
other
all.
projects?
That's all I have right now. We're gonna have a non-public.
Right.
on the last thing.
That took getting to know the Valley. Okay, we're done with department head updates.
Yep.
Approval of minutes. Thank you, Sharon. Is that new format, is that new AI working
Yeah.
for you? It seemed very similar. I wasn't, it actually seemed more detailed.
It came through, it could pick up things clearer from a
Yeah,
recording.
okay.
There was less trying to make names actually be names, and once you identified reader one, it followed reader one, and maybe some stuff was repetitive and removed some of those things.
Mhm.
It didn't have that time stamp on
That was the
there.
one, right.
So I just kind of been letting notes in the margins
Mhm.
here of when emotion
Okay.
Yeah.
through the, but I'm kind of working with both of them in tandem and seeing which. one
Okay, I mean,
is
as far as the content was concerned, the timestamp missing was,
kind of nice feature.
yeah, was notable, but the content seemed to be a little tighter. Whether that was the AI or whether you're going in, I don't know whether you have to do more or less editing to tighten
Yes,
it.
there is a tightening it up and removing redundant things, just.
Right, is it
that-
more or less than the previous?
I think it's a little less.
A little less?
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
So,
all right.
Okay,
Anyone
that's
have
good.
any other comments on the minutes? I think we
No.
all. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented and amended for the regular meeting of, excuse me, 7 August 2024.
Second.
I'm
All in
sorry,
favor?
those were the special.
I'm sorry,
Special
special. I was about to
ones.
say it was a special,
Okay.
right?
Right, we owe you the 7th,
Right, that was a special. So we still have to do the regular meeting.
August 1st special.
August 1st special, right? August 1st special is what that was.
Yeah.
So that was my motion of the August 1st special.
Right.
Okay. Was reading off the list here.
Yeah.
All right. Anything on the financial report? Anybody have any questions, comments, observations?
Nope.
Um, I had one little thing,
Mhm.
and not that it's bad, I don't know. But the 4135, the general overhead, that went down from the last report.
This is the very beginning.
She may have had a bill in there. That wasn't supposed to be, that went
Okay.
to another department.
Okay.
So, yeah, those things will happen as they
After
do their
having it
monthly,
fine-tuned.
yeah, as they
Gotcha.
do their monthly recons, they may change some line items.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't a big amount. but
Yeah, and
just
we'll,
curious.
we'll watch it and see what happens in the next report.
Okay.
I'll make a note here.
Right. I didn't have anything. Anything else, Wendy, Bob, on the financial report?
Nope.
Alrighty, if we're done with that, shall we move on to calendar review? So we're planning on two public hearings. We're planning on following RSA 4114-A with regard to donations. And so we will have a public hearing at 3 p.m. on 11 September. This is on the Britain property donation. And we'll have a second public hearing on 25 September. And we'll make that one at 6 p.m. So we'll catch perhaps other people that works for the board. And I think we're working on some presentation to lead off the public.
Yep.
Now that those dates are between our normal
Right,
regular select board. So our next meeting's on the 4th.
Yeah.
And then a
Then
week
we'll-
later, we'll have a public, so it'll just be a public hearing, will not be part of a
Regular meeting.
regular meeting. And so I think Mark, you're working on a short presentation at the beginning to bring everyone up to speed on
Yep.
where things are with regard to
And I should have the
legal opinion and
slides,
so
I
forth.
should have the slides done by the September 4th meeting, so you
We
can
can-
review
We
them.
can review them. That's
Yeah.
great. And then we've got up to 14 days, so we'll do the 25th for the second public hearing. And then it's up to the board to decide whether they want to take a vote right after that.
Yep.
Second public hearing. So looks like we're gonna have a busy September. 4 days. To meet Bob, not the
Every
two, not the once a month or every week, right? 4, 11, 18, and 25. Although on the 11 and 20, on 25, that will, you will not be required.
I'll be over there.
You'll be sitting in the gallery. Right. All right, state primary election on the 10th. We just need to decide at our next meeting, the coverage.
Yep.
So it'll be more like 11 to 9 roughly, right?
Yeah.
11 to 8, 9, something
Plan
like that.
11 to 9.
11 to 9, okay, so a 10-hour. Well, there are 3 of us, so maybe it'd be better if we make it.
Don't we, all three of us have to be there at 9 at the end?
I don't, did she require all 3 of us to sign? Yes, she did.
think
Not
so.
for the counting, but I think I came
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
At
Yeah.
the very end.
at the very end, so,
The
Yeah.
ballots still.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. That is that, so that's good to go. Next planning board meeting is on 12 September at 8 AM. And our next meeting, as I mentioned, is the regular select board meeting on the 4th at 3 PM. We do have coming up also in September, the New Hampshire Run for the Fallen,
New
right?
Hampshire Run for the Fallen.
On the
be
25th.
25th or 20.
For Saturday,
First
yeah,
Saturday.
Saturday, the
Yes.
21st.
Yep.
Same drill,
Same thing,
right.
9 AM, start
Start
time
up,
for
right.
the ceremony,
right?
by the ice arena field.
Mhm.
And, then the 4-mile loop,
Right,
around town. And then, closing, I think 11 or 11:30.
same
Same thing.
participants,
Yep.
at lunch at the conference center
Yep.
and all that
For
sort of
the,
thing.
for the families.
For the
Yeah.
families, right?
They may be using a tent rather than the conference center. I gotta finalize those
Okay,
things.
well, hope the weather
Yep.
holds out. Good,
Mhm.
good, volunteers, donors and such.
We've
such like.
started to get volunteers in, but anybody who wants to come and assist is welcome to show up at the field by the arena at 8:30 on the 21st, Saturday, the 21st in the morning, and there are plenty of
Mhm.
hero buddies and other people that we need to help out, so.
Okay, good. So everything is in train,
It
basically.
is, I'm waiting to hear back from the Forest Service on the use of Triple I Road
Right, which we have to do.
paperwork.
All right.
Yep.
And I expect they'll want a welcoming.
Yes, if you
welcoming
could do the same thing.
comments.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to do it, but
Okay.
don't want to monopolize it. If either the board member would like to do it, that's fine.
No, go for it.
Thank you.
I'll be brewing their coffee.
Oh,
There
all
you
right,
go.
that'd be your participation.
Yep.
All right, so I will plan to have a couple
Okay.
minutes, of comments or something like that.
Yep.
Board concerns and directives. Anybody got anything they'd like to?
Just wanted to let you guys
Please.
know that Mark and I met with Tina and Doug
Doug.
from the Golden
Oh, on
Eagle
that whole,
Lodge.
that path issue?
Well, the greater easement issue.
Oh,
Yeah,
which is an issue.
yeah,
On the
because
what?
the Golden Eagle
Easement,
Lodge.
like the parking
the-
we got and all that.
Well, yeah, because the deed is just very vague at best. It talks about the town making a reasonable contribution to the inner roadway for the Golden Eagle Lodge. So we've asked them to bring us a proposition, a proposed budget. The idea being that Tina is there every day, kind of has a sense for how much parking is actually done by.
So this is
you
to
know,
repave, they're planning to repave the
They're
parking
planning,
lot?
they haven't,
everything,
yeah, they
Oh,
haven't.
the whole,
the whole thing,
turnaround.
Yeah,
that's in
the-
front of the hotel?
Yeah.
all the
Right.
parking lots.
yeah.
Yeah.
which-
So not just the area that we have this vague
Well,
sounding easement
but
for.
even that, maybe it was written.
Well,
thinking that we would. I mean,
there's
it-
two things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The easement is very vague. It
Yeah.
says, help maintain the driveway and the
inner
the
roadway,
inner
is it?
roadway, which I took to mean the circle, right? And because of the use of by pedestrians from town square across the property to access further south,
Mhm.
okay? That's all it says. Then we have the parking, which there is no easement for, the parking for Packard's Field
Right,
that
Yeah.
regularly happens.
right,
And that's completely undefined.
really, is
Yeah.
that, the
There's
easement does
nothing
not,
mentioned
Yeah.
about that.
Nothing specific.
wow,
So
we really need to rewrite this
we,
thing,
well,
Yeah.
and I think,
yeah,
yeah, first we have to find out
Well,
what the
costs.
project is gonna cost and
Right.
then see what they want to charge for reasonable, because
Right.
it's the only word that's in there.
Yeah.
So they're repaving the whole thing?
They're
Yeah.
repaving everything.
And the
Everything.
good news is the first time they've done it, a complete redo since it was
Since it
constructed.
was constructed.
So,
40 years.
yeah,
Yeah,
but anyway, so they're, by our next meeting, we should have a proposal from them.
So are they
for
gonna do it next year?
discussion. Yes.
yeah, they wanna do it next year.
So the easement doesn't talk about the parking lot, but talks about a driveway and,
Inner roadway.
Inner roadway.
But that, in my mind, that could be the parking lot too, because you're driving, I mean, what's a
Right.
roadway?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We have no idea.
So, yeah, but they've been, very, they've done their best to contribute, I think, to the overall community and with sharing the EV chargers, which, again,
Mhm.
anyone can drive in there and charge their EV during the week.
That's gonna be
We,
$200,000. For?
3 to
Three.
4.
right,
3 to
Anyway,
4.
so,
But, again. who
so we're
knows?
waiting for them to tell us
We're
what they
waiting
would
for them
like
to
So-
tell
us
us.
but yeah,
to,
just
what
as
they
a-
think our contribution should be,
Yeah.
the town.
right, and, I think they're trying to
Mm.
approach it very reasonably,
Well, we do use that parking lot that's adjacent to Packard's, certainly,
And it's the only parking
Place
lot
to
we
park,
have for
right,
park- for
and,
Packards.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, it is adjacent to our land going down to town square, so
Right.
that's an important walkway.
and for everyone who parks to use the playground area there.
Yeah.
Right, that same parking lot,
Residents
right,
as well,
it's that
that-
one,
that-
that's right, the playground and Packard.
Playground and Packards, and the
So-
access to the beach
Yeah,
through the back.
yeah,
Right,
so, anyway,
Yeah.
just
well, all right,
heads
we'll
up,
see what
that'll be
they,
coming.
see what they have, okay,
Um,
anything else
That's all I
on
have.
that?
I've seen a couple of things on MUR about FEMA funding is dried up currently.
Oh,
Okay,
Twice in the last 2 weeks, they've said that there's no FEMA funding available until it gets reauthorized, which might
Okay.
be next year or sometime.
Oh,
cause we just.
They run
we
out
just
or something?
received
They've
our
they've
first-
used all the funds they had.
all right, so they're
We-
talking about this
we just-
fiscal year,
Well, but I don't know if that means that if you have an approved project that's funded, or whether or not it's
It
new.
sounded like even improvements have to wait.
Well,
take on.
we got our first payment,
Yeah,
so,
But-
but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll check with the staff what has happened.
the other thing I had was, I noticed that, maybe it's been there for a while, but I noticed the sign. If you come in, going out of town, by, just before you get to Tecumseh Road. There's a sign that says no truck should turn right.
right.
I think that's new.
It's new for
It
this
seems to
season.
me there's no reason for that. Why would a truck
Well,
turn
that's-
right?
Well, because we're trying to stop the large trucks from going down to Tecumseh.
Yeah, but they're not gonna be coming out of town and turning down Tecumseh. They'd be coming into town and turn down Tecumseh.
Well, we're trying to catch it both ways, right? Because there's a sign, it's actually quite a distance, which says no right, trucks, no right turn, which isn't quite correct, right, when you're coming into town.
I'm talking about you
And
going
then
out
the
out
other
of
way,
town.
it's right at that
I
intersection.
see no reason to have the one going out of town. The truck's not gonna turn there when it's leaving town.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we were.
I mean, I'm
talking-
just thinking about the
Yeah.
sign pollution.
Right, right.
On,
Yeah,
on, social media that we talked about, too many signs in town, and that's one I happened to notice today that I
Mhm.
thought, geez, I might wonder why we have that there.
right, yeah, I think it was to try to drive the point home, but perhaps, yeah, it is redundant.
Yeah. Well, I think it's certainly more important the other way,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not quite correct, the sign. but
Well,
I
and
think
we
we
still
talked
have
about that. It's distance,
we're still waiting on, Dig Safe for it to be able to put in, yeah.
put
so-
in a sign.
It's
close-
getting
intersection.
closer. Yes,
Right,
it's
right.
going to be put closer
At the
to
intersection.
Tecumseh.
We're not gonna put it on the current
No,
sign that's up closer to
no,
Tecumseh.
because you won't be able,
Too
it'll,
late,
it'll
too much,
blend in too much. We want an individual sign.
and we're talking about.
I will get the one
Right,
headed
yes.
out of town taken out.
Yeah, I just don't,
Yeah.
I just,
Okay,
Sure.
yeah, fine, okay.
Okay,
that's all I got.
Any correspondence?
Maybe, sorry, maybe
Yeah,
we
go ahead.
could use it at the other end of Tecumseh,
okay.
coming like from Town Square, like, I don't
Okay.
know.
You're also gonna see several.
That makes more sense,
Yeah.
yeah.
News articles regarding the Supreme Court.
Oh, yes, I think I
The
saw one
Supreme Court
yesterday.
case. There's 3 or 4 of them on the
Right.
internet right now with regards to the coalition.
Right,
Oh.
Communities and
yeah,
Right.
education funding. So the school funding fairness group has started a kind of a media blitz. As far as the Supreme Court case,
right,
it's really early in the
Yeah.
process. It's gonna be probably another year to year and a half. Given what.
yeah, I
the
was
court-
wondering why it.
Oral arguments won't even be until
Started
probably
up,
June.
so
The
the
school funding
Right.
fairness
is
project.
is launching
started.
their
Yeah.
campaign to-
Yeah.
for their.
So, if anybody does talk to you about it, please let me know. And
Yeah.
we are still debating
Mhm.
amongst our board to see what kind of response, if any, we're going to take. But it's just
Yeah.
really early.
The one article I saw, well, purported to be even-handed, used words that I thought were show the true bias of the writer, even though it was a supposedly straight up report of the matter, the words used.
Yeah.
Obviously showed which way the writer was leaning on. Nothing you can do about that, I
Right.
suppose.
So just let me know.
Okay. Anything else in correspondence? If we have nothing else, then I'd like to go into non-public for legal reasons, and Bob is
I got
involved the
5:32.
issue that you've recused yourself from, so
Uh.
you get dismissed early.
Good.
Bob, you don't
Yeah.
like being.
Now,
with
he
us
doesn't have to
anymore?
hang around outside, so he can come back and
No,
adjourn the meeting, right?
There's nothing, no, you still have a majority, so you're
So we're
still.
good. All right, so I can have a motion to go into non-public,
So
and I will
moved.